Is this episode 88?
It is. Lucky 88. Well, at least in the Chinese, right? Don't they love the number 8?
There's also a group of very racist people that use 88 for a lot of racist slogans.
That's right. I wouldn't have even known that if the ADL didn't put it on their website. They have crazy stuff on their website. And most of those things I would have no idea. But thanks to you.
I'm still annoyed by the whole OK sign controversy.
So stupid.
You connect your thumb to your forefinger and the other 3 fingers are up in the air. I mean, that's been the symbol for OK for a really long time. And it started as a joke on the internet that someone said, whoa, look, it spells out white power. And then for whatever reason, insane terminally online people ran with it and turned it into an actual racist thing.
Dude, it's so insane. I remember there was a guy, in 2020, during COVID, there was some employee from the electric company, and this craze was going on social media. Someone took him doing the OK sign like out of his window. The guy turned out he was Hispanic anyway, but they photographed that and sent it to his employer, the electric company. They fired him.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
He said he was cracking his knuckles.
Well, it was also, there was this, a game that you'd play as like kids, really stupid, where you'd make that circle with your thumb and your forefinger, and you had to place it below your waist. And if you got someone to look at it, you could punch them in the arm and stuff. I did that in a company photo where I held out my arm, making that figure. And this was before all this started, but it was literally like I did that. The company photo got taken, and then maybe 2 years later this started, and I kept looking out going, oh god, I gotta take this down. Someone's gonna think I'm like super racist or something.
A white supremacist.
Yeah, that's me, Mr. White Supremacist over here.
Right. All white. I was telling you yesterday, Matt Walsh has a documentary coming out.
Am I racist? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you watch it yet?
Not yet. No, I don't think it's out yet.
Oh, okay.
But the previews are out and everything. I'm not paying the Daily Wire. That's for sure. That's probably it's going to go on BitChute for free.
Eventually,
so I'll watch it when it's free. Yeah. So today we are discussing the Japanese airline incident over Alaska in 1986.
I'm really excited about this. Unfortunately, Japan has some really sad air flight cases. I mean, these I'm talking about. Like, I'm thinking of the one where the plane crashed in the mountain, and like they recovered the black box, and you can listen to the whole tape. Minutes before they died, up until the crash, and it's really sad. Japan has had a few of those, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, bad weather.
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's an island, so they get hurricane. Well, I don't know.
Archipelago.
Archipelago. Not and agents call it something else. Typhoons.
Yeah, because they spin a different direction. I've never been clear about that. I remember hearing that as like a kid. I don't know if that's true or not. Hurricane spins one way, or maybe it's a hemisphere thing.
I think it's a hemisphere thing. Yeah,
okay,
that's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's a tropical storm.
Also, I watched Bullet Train last night. Have you seen that movie?
No, remind me of it. Maybe I have.
It's got it's just a fun action comedy movie. It's got Brad Pitt. He's an assassin, and he's on a bullet train in Japan, and he's fighting against all these other assassins. It's it's a lot of fun.
I remember. I haven't seen it, but I remember seeing the. It's like what, 5 years old?
I don't think it's that old. 3 maybe. 2 or 3
years old.
It's it's fun, but. You said Japan, and I was like, oh, what's the first thing that comes to my mind that reminds me about Japan? I was like, hey, I just watched a movie that took place there last night. So
that's very cool. Very cool.
But what doesn't take place in Japan? The Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Yeah, we have no listeners there, unfortunately.
That is I Have a Need to Know, Adam.
Hey, everyone.
And I am the second sequel, Topher 3, the Topherist.
So that's the third time you've used the Topherist, is what you're telling us?
Yeah, I don't know. Last week I was Topher 2, the Tophering. Now I'm Topher 3, the Topherist.
You haven't used the Topherist?
I did use Topherist, and it was a joke about being called racist or sexist. Or
yes. Well, cool. Well, tell us. So my legs were aching last night, and I was like, why can't I get up? I was like, I was moving.
Yeah. So
in the
For
morning.
those of you who have been listening the last few weeks, hope you've all realized I've been talking about moving. I'm finally moved in. Adam was kind enough to help me move stuff yesterday into my new
Yeah,
place.
it was easy.
So you left, you finished helping me, and again, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I went
Of
to
course.
Walmart and picked up a few things, and I came back and unpacked, and then starting at like 2 in the afternoon, 2:30, I just was like done. Everything was out of the
Yeah.
boxes. Like even still today, the stuff is only half kind of like put away and organized, and I just went, nope, I'm done. This is it.
Yeah, take your time anyway. It needs time.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. Like moving in, instead of trying to get everything up and everything organized in a couple of days, no, let it take like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, it'll just come into place. But good. I mean, it's closer to where you work and everything. It's a nice, quiet place.
You know, it's a great spot. The rent is affordable. It's close to work. It's in a nice neighborhood. The meth lab doesn't smell that bad. You know, things are looking up for old Topher.
No, congrats. And it's a new neighborhood too. It's not like it's an old neighborhood or anything.
Right. No, it's a nice little place. I'm right next to the ocean. I'm not much of a beach person, but maybe I'll start being a beach person. I'll get nice and tan and burn off all this white skin I've got.
Surfing is a good exercise. It's core exercises.
I would love to know how to surf. I don't think I've got the body strength to do it at the
you
moment.
Never know. But yeah,
like there's been a couple times where I've gone boogie boarding and I get up to my knees on a boogie board. That's something, right?
All right, yeah.
It's just one more step after that.
One more step. And the longer the surfboard, the easier it is, because I guess it just rides and you can it's easier to balance on.
Well, I do now live really close to a beach city, and so maybe I can get like a 25-foot surfboard. That'd be really easy to get up on.
That'd be cool. Very cool.
A surfboard that can't even fit in my garage.
That's a good point.
50-foot surfboard.
What is it, a boat?
yeah, man. How sick would that be?
Yeah, that's not going to fit in your. I didn't even go into the garage in your house.
I'd have to put it diagonally, and it would take up the entire garage.
Yeah. Are there cars in there?
Yes, there's one.
Oh, all right. So that's the special person.
Yep.
All right, so I guess let's get started. There's a few videos we can watch, and then there's the archives and lots of documentations also we can delve into. Probably see if we can figure out anything. 1 sec. Looks like this is a news clip about the event. And then after that, also there's a researcher who gives us an interview, and then the FAA guy. That's right, I found an interview with him, so we'll listen to that as well. Here we go.
All right, great.
Airlines cargo flight piloted by Captain Kenju Terauchi. This is the sketch Terauchi drew of what he says he saw at his window that night. And this Japanese television graphic is based on his description.
This is just a small space visit. We can see a big plane. This one is size is carrier, so mothership.
Bigger than an aircraft carrier, Terauchi claimed when he drew this sketch showing the relative size of his jumbo jet. Terauchi's route was over Alaska to Anchorage. He says the UFOs stayed with him 40 minutes and then disappeared. Today, the FAA released tapes of the crew's conversation.
What year did this take place?
This was in 1986.
How did they get a news guy from the 1950s to do the voiceover for this interview? Everyone was looking
around. He does sound like that. I guess he was tapering it off maybe in the 80s, or
I don't know. I've watched movies from the 80s. Nobody sounded like this.
No, they don't. I don't know. Could be to give it like some feel that it's older footage. Oh no. There we go.
These tapes of the crew's conversation.
You're so right. It's close to it.
40 minutes and then disappeared. Today, the FAA released tapes of the crew's conversation with controllers.
Japan Air 1628, sir, if you're able to identify the type of aircraft,
we cannot identify the type. They're coming like a formation.
formation. It's quite a picture.
But Terauchi's crewmates were not sure they'd seen a UFO, and other planes sent to look saw nothing unusual. The FAA agrees. Today, the
Oh, it's this guy, Robert Hager. I guess maybe they trained him maybe in like school, how to
I guess.
communication.
I mean,
school.
I enjoy it, but I can't help but kind of like smirk and laugh and make fun of it
I mean,
because that's just such a stereotypical voice for
Yeah.
news reporters. And then that
Right.
UFO, it went zipping and zopping over here, and then over there, and then there was a baseball game, and the
Yeah.
pitcher pressed. He threw the ball in the fastest pitch in the West, and then the batter swung and he missed, and you know what I mean.
Oh, you did that really well. That was hilarious.
I've said on the show many times, I am very technically a professional voice actor. I have
Yeah,
been
and
paid
you're
for
really
voice
good.
acting.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, you could do this, and seriously too.
I would love to get in front of a camera with a suit and tie and go, well, here we are, folks. Everyone wants to know. They've got their eyes on the sky. Where are the UFOs? Everyone's looking for them. Nobody seems to find them. But we did find this farmer in West Virginia who seems to
Why
have
don't
found a cow with 2 heads.
We can do an episode about War of the Worlds.
Oh,
and
that's
you can
I mean,
reenact it.
yeah, I'd love that. Oh, here the Martians come. I'm sorry. I'm going to be obsessed with this voice for the rest of the podcast.
Go ahead. It's hilarious. All right, let's continue. Robert Hager.
agency concluded a 3-month investigation, saying there's nothing to substantiate the pilot's story, nothing to indicate a UFO or any other aircraft near the flight. Computer memory has recreated what radar picked up as the flight progressed. Sometimes the JAL plane is seen as a normal blip, but occasionally it appears as what some call a double blip, sometimes even 2 distinct blips. It caught controllers' attention that night.
Military radar advises they do have a primary target in trail view at this time.
But the FAA says exhaustive analysis indicates the occasional second blip was a common radar echo. And noting that this is only
Sure, FAA, sure. I wonder if those documents that we're going to look at show something.
The FAA is not paid to figure out the mysteries of the universe. They're paid to figure out things are happening in the air, and so they're going to use an excuse they can to not
right on
mess with that.
Right, exactly. It's not their mandate. They're going to stick by their mandate.
Right.
Yeah.
only 1 of 4 times Captain Terauchi has said he's seen UFOs. The FAA today closed the case. But a tape recording reveals one investigator telling Terauchi if he's right and the agency's wrong.
All I can say is let's hope they're on our side. Huh?
One impressive, well-documented case is reconstructed here by Nippon TV when a 707 was flying over Alaska on the 17th of November, 1986. At 5 p.m.,
I love this animation. It's so Japanese, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. This looks like a 1980s anime.
Yeah.
during the flight, Commander Terauchi observed 2 red lights getting nearer.
5時10分ですね、左前方に小さな光が2つ見えたというのでです
The
ね、
control tower anchorage didn't detect anything present in the area.
わからないとね、その左側にあった
The lights got nearer and nearer.
パッと目の前に移動したっていうんですね。で、その目の前に来てみたのを見るとですね、こう正方形をして
The 3 pilots felt a wave of heat. Then the lights disappeared.
I mean, how scary would this be for real?
I know, seriously, especially that they're moving independently like that. Because he said he thought there were jets like flying away from him in the beginning.
With the heat that they said they were feeling, I mean, this sounds like a scan. They were being scanned.
Yeah, that's right. Scanning the airplane and them.
Yeah,
especially the way it looks like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is what's that movie? The one with the do.
Wait, which do? Oh, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Thank you. That's what. Doesn't that look like the?
Yes, it does. And that movie was done before this.
Yeah.
Good point. Good catch.
ここがですね、熱く感じたっていう、それ僕読みましたよ。ですからなんかこう引き足みたいなものがこう来てたんじゃないですか。でそれがだんだん遠ざかって見えなくなってしまって、それからしばらく。
All right, so now there's more lights coming back. So those went away.
2 white lights appeared.
先ほどのオレンジだったんですけども、ずーっと近づいてきたっていうんですね。
The radar screen indicated the proximity of the object, and the object began to shadow the aeroplane in the direction of Fairbanks, Alaska.
Alaska's got a lot of UFOs.
Thanks to the contrast of the city lights, the crew could see the outline of the object.
Wow.
We couldn't believe our eyes. It was 30 to 40 times bigger than a Boeing 707. We tried to shake off this object, and I veered the 707 away. The control tower asked if we required the intervention of a military fighter. We replied that it would be too dangerous, as an El Al airplane needed to cross our flight path. Towards 6 p.m., the object disappeared. The sighting lasted for an hour.
Wow.
These are the sketches by Captain Terauchi. Both he and his crew saw an enormous UFO. It was under control, and he felt there was every possibility that it hadn't been constructed on Earth.
My name is John Callahan. I'm a...
All right, so that UFO was following them for 40 minutes after being scanned. So it scanned them first, and then the big one came.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like they got scanned and then followed after that, which I find absolutely fascinating.
Maybe scanned for weapons to see if they have any weapons on board, and they didn't. So then the mothership came in and followed them for 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Man. Very scary.
Okay, so this is John Callahan. So he's the FAA head of accidents and investigations. He's one out there from the FAA saying that how weird this thing is, but officially, of course, the FAA is saying no. There's, we don't see anything. You'll see in the documents that class is in there in the old documents. Oh yeah, it's going to raise your blood pressure.
Great, can't wait. Love Philip Class. Definitely not a CIA spook put in the media just to discredit.
Yeah,
and when I say discredit, I mean quote unquote discredit, because all he does is yell at people and call them liars without. He's the master of ad hominem attacks. Sorry, I just got to say this again one more time. Fuck Philip Class. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, he's really bad, and you'll see some evidence from the documentation that he's definitely a plant.
Yeah.
Retired FAA employee. I was the division manager for the Accidents Evaluation and Investigation Division in DC. About 2 years before I retired, I received a call from Alaska region where the region wanted to know what to tell the media. When I questioned, tell the media what? He says about the UFO, and it went downhill from there. What UFO? It turned out I told him what any government employee would do at that time was to tell them it's under investigation. And then I had him send all that data to the FAA's tech center in Atlantic City. The next day, my immediate boss, service director, Javi Safir, and I went to Atlantic City. I had just purchased a new video camera, and I videoed the event. In Atlantic City, we had them play back on a scope, you would call it a scope, a plan view display, PVD, exactly what the pilot seen or what the controller seen, and we tied that in with the voice tape so we could hear exactly what the controller said and what he heard, and we taped it. We came back the next day, briefed the administrator, Admiral Ingen, on what happened. He wanted a 5-minute briefing. After we started the briefing, he wanted to know if he could see the video. We put the video on. He watched the video, the whole video. The next day, he set up a meeting for me to give a dog and pony show to President Reagan's scientific staff and whoever they brought over, and to hand off all that data to them. That morning in the FAA round room, it was either 9 or 10 o'clock, 3 men from Reagan's scientific staff, 3 CIA people, 3 FBI people, and I don't remember who the other guys were, along with all the FAA experts that I brought with me. They could decide or talk about the hardware and the software, how it worked. We put on a dog and pony show. We let them watch the video. We had all the data there. We had all the printouts that the computer put out. They got all excited over it. When it was all done, the CIA, one of the CIA men told the people they were now sworn to secrecy, that this meeting never happened and this event never happened. When I asked him why, I thought it was probably just a stealth bomber at the time. He says, well, this is the first time that we have recorded radar data on a UFO. And these guys are going to get all excited.
First time. I don't think it's the first time.
No, lies.
Yeah,
But I mean,
exactly.
it's the same kind of shit that we've been dealing with here as the American public about our government coming in. I mean, FAA guy, I don't know what kind of clearance you have, but it's not secret.
Right.
It's not top secret.
No.
But suddenly the second you record something that's doesn't make any sense, you've got all these guys with black suits and sunglasses and probably weird hats, but you can't discuss that. Come into your office and and they come and tell you, hey, you can't talk about this or we'll kill you and your family.
Yeah, it is the same pattern over and over.
Yeah, every time.
Sworn to secrecy. This never happened. So this guy said he thought it was a stealth bomber. Anyway, it's not going to be that big. And
not that shaped anyway. I mean, our stealth bombers, everyone hopefully has seen what our stealth bombers look like. They look like big triangles, big flat triangles.
Right.
It's to avoid radar detection.
Exactly.
A big spherical object like the one that was seen by these pilots does not fit the typical stealth bomber profile. So,
Reagan, they say he wasn't completely read in, but Star Wars is his. I mean, so he was kind of read in. He was obsessed with aliens and UFOs. He had 2 sightings himself. He had, I think, a couple of speeches about it, right? One at the UN talking about like an alien presence because he wanted peace. So his science advisors, CIA and FBI, looks like they confiscated his entire presentation, and who knows where it went?
Nowhere.
And Arrow won't find out for sure.
Of course not.
So this is in the disclosure project. He came out.
They're drooling over all this data. I said, well, you're going to tell the public about it. And he says, no, we don't tell the public about this. It would panic the public. He says, we're going to go back and study this. I said, okay. It was what he was going to do. Now, I've told the story.
So the panic kind of makes sense in how the government sees it, right? The government's like, okay, we don't know what the hell this is. We cannot control when they come into our airspace, what airplanes they want to check out and harass. We can't bring them down.
Yeah,
so
if the government
why even say anything?
Yeah, if the government comes out and admits that these things are real, they also are thereby admitting that they have no power over our airspace and over our sovereignty here in the States. I get it from that standpoint, but that's also really dumb, and it just has to do with power and control, which is what truly any politician is obsessed with.
Right. It's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. They want us to always think that they're here to take care of us. They're the powerful dad. Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Many times, and I get sometimes funny looks from people. I have with me the voice tapes of the controllers that were involved, the FAA original tapes. See, after we handed this stuff off to the president's staff, the FAA didn't know what to do with it. We don't separate UFOs from real traffic, so it's not our problem. Okay. I have a copy of the original of the video that we took, which is rather interesting. And once the thing was all over, the reports started coming into my office, but because it wasn't an FAA air traffic problem, the FAA's report ended up on a table in my office. And it stayed there until I retired, when one of the staffers packed up all my gear and helped it move to my house. Also, in a box I found just a few days ago, in my 1992 tax return, I have the target printouts from the computer data, which, so if you wanted to or look at every target that was up there at the time, you can now reproduce this from this piece of paper here. And it's called the UFO Incident, Japan 1648, I believe the number was, that happened on November the 18th, 1986. I'm prepared to go to Congress to swear before Congress that everything I've told you people and everything that is here is the truth. Thank you.
Having public participation.
Well, I hope that stuff is in the National Archive. Actually, there's like 1,500 pages that they found in the National Archives.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I love that guy's accent. That was really good.
You like the Southern accents, or you like
that wasn't Southern?
Accent?
That was either
New York. New York
That's what I was thinking. It was
or
New
New
York.
Jersey.
I don't know. I honestly don't know East Coast accents all that well, or just accents in general. I don't know it that well, but I could have sworn that was New York.
Definitely New York.
New
Yeah.
York.
I
got a copy.
Coffee?
Copy.
No, a copy.
Because he had a copy of the stuff that was given to the FFA.
There you go. Well, that sounds a bit Bostonian. Too.
I don't know. I don't know accents that well.
Yeah, Boston hat. Take your hat rate. All right, who's this guy? He looks very serious. Probably an ex-government guy.
Participation in the UFO program caused an awful lot of headaches for the United States Air Force. Their regulations indicated that they couldn't tell the public that there were unknowns, that they were only to tell the public the ones that they had identified. And because of this, they had to give all types of explanations for UFOs, and it caused the Air Force to have a very bad name. Not only that, the information concerning UFOs was highly classified, and having the public participation in the UFO program wasn't to the best of the Air Force interests. So in December of 1969, December 17th, 1969, the United States Air Force again told the public that it had terminated its UFO program, and now covertly investigates the better civilian sightings and concentrates mostly on government source control cases and airline pilot cases under the order JANIP 146, a Joint Army Air Force Navy order, which outlines what military civilian pilots are supposed to do when they see a UFO sighting. They submit what they call a service report, which contains information vital to the security of the United States. Once they make an official report, they're subjected to $10,000 fine and or 10 years in jail if they reveal the contents of this report. Also in 1973, after the last huge UFO wave, worldwide UFO wave, UFOs mysteriously disappeared from the national newspapers. The only way usually you're going to find out about UFO sightings, other than belonging to an organization who's investigating UFOs, would be to subscribe to a local news clip service. And you would see that UFO sightings are still happening in this country and abroad, all over the place, but they aren't getting reported in the national press, which is very unusual.
And there was one recently in Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Very unusual that that particular account in Alaska should get in the press. It was a month afterwards. It was kept out of the press for a month, and this involved a huge UFO seen by a Japanese airlines crew flying a cargo plane, a Boeing 747, into Anchorage, Alaska. And they were followed for hundreds of miles by this huge UFO, which was described as a bowl inverted upon a bowl with a rim around it. We call it the Saturn-type configuration. The pilot and the crew members described it as being as large as 2 aircraft carriers placed side by side. They tracked it on their weather radar to make sure that they weren't seeing things. They were in contact with the FAA at Anchorage and also Elmendorf Air Force Base. And they have said, and they've maintained their story, that both locations also tracked it on radar. It wasn't mentioned in the press. It was kept very quiet. It broke in Japan around December 30th, December 31st, and got back into the press in this country after a month. And immediately the FAA officials contradicted their own controllers. The Air Force spokesman also contradicted their own radar operators and told the press that, the FAA told the press that the radar was just a double image of the plane. Elmendorf Air Force Base officially said that they were just picking up ground clutter. The 2 smaller objects, which was seen with the big objects, were described as being Mars and Jupiter, although they didn't look like Mars and Jupiter at all. And the last I heard was that the FAA controllers were very upset about this, and the Japanese pilot and the crew members are still sticking to their story, regardless of what our government.
Yeah, guys, it was Mars and Jupiter. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, don't you hate it when you see something outside flying in the sky and you think, oh, hey, that's really cool. That's super neat. I should think about this later. And then you look it up and, you know, all the news and media tell you that Jupiter flew by Earth really quickly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It didn't cause any disturbances. Nothing. Just was there flying around.
It's just Jupiter.
Right. Mars and Jupiter. That was probably Class, by the way. That was probably his idea.
Yeah, I believe it. That guy was full of really fun, definitely cool ideas.
I'm surprised the guy lived as long as he did. You know,
I'm not. He was protected by the CIA, obviously.
yeah, obviously. All right, so this is Dr. Richard Haynes. He studied this case very deeply, so he gives an account from his perspective of what happened that day. He's got some new stuff also. That wasn't in the other video.
And very interesting, involved a Japan Airlines cargo flight. The captain was Kenji Teruchi, and he had several other men with him on this flight from Paris to Tokyo, following the polar route. They were carrying a load of Beaujolais wine, and once this event happened and I talked with the captain,
Could you imagine paying to transport wine from Paris to Tokyo? So that's all the plane was carrying. Just that for some very wealthy Japanese people.
Yeah, you have to be one rich asshole to. Wine's not that good. Wine's overrated. You know, a lot of people, and this is true. If you put like $2 chuck in a blender and blend it, wine connoisseurs, people who are paid professionally to taste wine, they can't tell the difference between that and like a $500 bottle of wine.
You're kidding me.
No, that's fact. Look it up.
That's hilarious. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can kind of tell a difference between different glasses, but not really. You know, at some point, it just all blends together.
Yeah, the only wine I ever used to drink was during college, and it came in a plastic bag. You know Franzia?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, you'd pull it out of the box, and then
Right.
you'd slap the bag, and then you'd drink as much as you could.
Yeah.
It's a long time college tradition.
Just squeeze the bag.
Yeah. No, you don't squeeze it. You slap it. It's called slapping the bag.
Oh my
slap
god.
It. Someone holds it up high. You slap it as hard as you can, and then you turn the nozzle. And then you turn the nozzle, and you put it directly into your gullet.
So wait, why does the blending work? Is it make it airy, or is that
it aerates it?
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. That's hilarious. So yeah, they were carrying a very expensive cargo of wine.
I asked him the question, did you land with all the cases unopened? And he laughed and he said, yes, don't worry about that. We delivered our cargo adequately. They took off from Paris, as I said. They flew to Keflavik, Iceland for fuel, and then on to Anchorage. However, coming over the border of Canada into Alaska, at cruise altitude on a dark night on autopilot, he described, and his first officer described, seeing a very strange set of lights. The first thing they saw were flickering yellow lights, almost in a row, horizontal row, which they thought were afterburners of military jets ahead of them, like they were in trail behind a military flight. And that made some sense. However, it went from the 12 o'clock position very quickly off to about the 10 o'clock position, and then maintained the 10 o'clock relative to his bearing, and then moved back again to approximately the 12 o'clock position. Well, jet planes don't do that quickly. They don't move that rapidly. And so he began.
Not just that rapidly, they can't move horizontal like that. You know what I mean? Like if they want to change, they have to make a complete turnaround. Like I mean, I guess unless on their side, that drifts to the right. I don't know. It's not going to be like horizontal like that.
Yeah, you can't yaw to the left or the right.
Right.
You have to make a full 180-degree rotation and then turn.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've played aircraft video games before. This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Hey, those are close to physics.
Not the ones I play.
To be a little concerned that it wasn't what he thought it was. It was about his altitude. The stars were very bright. The air was crystal clear. He said he could see Fairbanks 100 and some miles ahead of him. It was so clear. Well, continuing on, this, by the way, was November 17th, 1986. The Japan Airlines flight was about 100 miles north of Fairbanks, and the air was so clear that he could actually see the city lights that distance away. and he has not started to come down yet. He's still at cruise altitude. He said then they noticed, generally ahead of them, a very large object outlined against the light of the sky. And he described it as being the length of at least 2 aircraft carriers end to end. That's very large. They continue on. I don't remember the airspeed, but it was at cruise airspeed, perhaps Mach 0.8, something like that, 0.85. As the aircraft is approaching Fairbanks, Captain Terrucci requests permission to execute a 360-degree turn to the right. And so he dials that into the autopilot and starts the high wing bank turn. And the object, very interestingly, maintains a relative fixed position off the left wingtip, which means, very importantly, that object had to accelerate up to that new speed of the turn and then hold that speed around the constant radius. That's very important because that implies thrust management. It implies a great deal of energy control and navigation and guidance. Well, after completing the turn, the 747 then levels out and is heading now for Anchorage to start its descent pretty soon. And the object is still out there on the left-hand side of the airplane. Well, Captain Terrucci then begins his descent to land, and there's an oncoming aircraft that is taken off from Anchorage, which is climbing now. And so he radios that captain, and he basically describes what's been happening and would you keep an eye out for it. When the 2 aircraft that are passing each other flash their landing lights just to identify each other, the UFO lights just disappear instantaneously.
Of course.
Well, to make a long story short, the aircraft lands safely at Anchorage, refuels, takes off, lands at Tokyo, and the cargo is delivered. I think a very interesting postscript to this.
So the other pilot didn't see it, basically, right? The other captain?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what he's saying? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I thought so. Was it?
All right. I mean, it's on radar, and then he had 2 other witnesses with him, but no one saw it from outside, it seems.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, these UFOs are known to play tricks like that. I mean, their whole thing is to make you doubt your reality. It seems like to me.
Right. Yeah. Who knows what this guy was going through? Yeah, we'll see what happens to him now next, the pilot.
Event involving this Japan Airlines 747 is what happened to Captain Terrucci after he landed. Well, because of his report, his conscientiousness to fill out a report form and all the paperwork that goes with it, he was evaluated by the medical board of Japan Airlines, and he was asked to terminate his flying duties. Well, that's rather unfortunate. He's a good pilot. He's an excellent pilot. And so I happened to have an opportunity to talk with the medical director of Japan Airlines as he was visiting here in the States. And I asked him about Captain Terrucci and explained that I had done this analysis on the case. And I was very impressed with him as a pilot. And he informed me at that time that he was no longer flying. But he did invite me to submit materials to the airline explaining what I had learned. Well, I did that, and many months went by, and I learned later on that he had been reinstated. He is now flying again. I was very glad to hear that.
Nice.
Well, one of the facts I brought out in my material was that Captain Terrucci was a good pilot. He was an outstanding pilot. He maintained control of the airplane at all times. He landed on time. He delivered his cargo. He complied with all the requirements. He's playing it by the book, and yet this happened to him. I also pointed out that what he saw in the sky was really not all that unusual, that I have thousands of other cases from around the world going back many years which describe very large objects that perform amazing feats. It's important to realize that a pure visual sighting just is not as important as a correlated radar visual sighting. And this case qualifies. And so we have multiple eyewitnesses in the cockpit who confirm what the radar is telling them, you see. Well, I asked Captain Terrucci about the onboard radar. He has a weather radar on there. And he told me that they tried to image something on the weather radar and didn't receive any signals back from the aircraft now. Nonetheless, there was ground radar. That every aircraft, of course, has to be plotted where it is for safety reasons. And so ground radar had picked up not only the 747, as it should, but also this, quote, uncorrelated target, something near the airplane that shouldn't have been there. Why? Because it wasn't identified. They didn't know what it was.
Yeah, that's just ground clutter, as the FAA would like us to know. Ground
It's just
clutter
a
was
flock of birds.
Yeah, just a flock of birds at 35,000 feet in Alaska.
Alaska's great. I mean, I've never been. I've seen lots of pictures. I know my folks have been, some of my friends, and I really want to
I'd
go.
love to go there. Me too. I'd
see
love
myself-
to go there.
I could see myself ending up there eventually.
You think so? Yeah, I mean, so far from like society, really.
Yeah,
in a
yeah, yeah.
way.
I mean, I love
That's
isolation.
really off grid.
Yeah, well, that's that's what a lot of us want. A lot of us introverts.
Yeah. Imagine like everyone just moves there. Well, it's big enough. It's 1/5. No, wait, it's bigger than that. Is it bigger than Texas? Yes.
It's
it
a
is the biggest
huge
one.
state.
Yeah.
The problem is every time it's put onto, like, if you see a continental map of the United States, they've always got the, obviously they can't put Hawaii and Alaska on the map because it just because you'd have to show all of Canada and the most of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
But anyway, the little picture-in-picture that they show of Alaska, a lot of people think it's just a average sized state, but it's truly massive.
I think it's the biggest one, right?
I think you're right.
And then Texas.
Yeah.
And then Montana, and then
no, Montana's number 5. I learned that a long time ago. I think California is technically. I think California is number 3
after Texas.
Yeah, I think it's Alaska, California, Texas.
Is it Colorado, New Mexico? Those are all big states, man.
Yeah, that's why I like the west part of the country. Is we've got all these big states. Other than those stupid Eastern Coast states, they're all like Maryland, Maine,
New Hampshire, Vermont.
Vermont. They're also small and stupid
and puny.
Yeah, get bigger states, East Coast, you ding dongs.
It's like we started out small. Like, wait a minute, we can take as much land as we want.
Honestly, it has to do, I think, with the Louisiana Purchase. My God, we learned so much about that stuff when I was in grade school.
Yeah, we were just buying up lands, and Alaska was bought too from the Russians.
I think it's like 50 cents on the acre or something. It was very cheap.
But yeah,
it was.
You guys take care of it.
It was bought from Russia. I can't wait until we annex Canada. Those dang Canadians up there being polite and drinking their maple syrup. And their
brewski.
Canadians have just as many assholes there as we do have here.
Of course.
I know that from experience.
It's very similar. Not too similar, but very similar. I think drinking age is still 18 there. Not 21.
I think you're right.
There. Like a lot of Americans would come up to
Montreal. I only know this from TV shows and experience, but their strip clubs have different rules as well.
Oh yes, they definitely do, and they're everywhere. At least in Montreal, they were.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, this is like a family restaurant. Why is there a strip club in front of us? Yeah, they're very different up there. Well, I'm sure Quebec is not like the rest of Canada. I'm pretty sure about that.
Well, didn't Quebec want to secede for a long time?
Oh yeah, they're always talking about it. Always.
Canada actually has some great culture. There's a couple TV shows that I watch that take place in Canada that I really like, and they talk about Canadian culture and a bunch of stuff I didn't know about. Like Newfoundland is essentially like its own little thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you've ever heard a Newfoundland speak, they've got like their own language. It's technically English, but it's weird. And like, of course, Quebec's, French, and they don't they're very insular people. They're very rude.
Yeah, they are, especially if you don't know French.
Yeah,
I mean, they have a law there where all the signs have to have French and English, and the French has to be a bigger font than the English font.
Well, and what the funniest part to me is people from France, French people, think that Quebecois, Quebecians,
Quebecois. Yep.
Quebecois speak very poor French. So it's like, why are you guys so high and mighty? Even the French people don't think you're very French.
It's just like the British. So what happens was it's the Canadian French is the ancient, very old French that hasn't evolved. Same thing with the American accent, by the way. Our accent is just American because we're secluded here, right, in this continent. So it evolved back in England into the English accent we have now. But like Shakespearean English or the
American
Shakespearean accent is this accent. Yes, it is.
Hell yeah, America for the win.
Yeah. And that's why both sound like yeah. So when you hear French, it's very like, oh, oui, da. But like the French Canadian is very yeah, which sounds like the American accent to a British person. Do you know what I'm saying?
I see.
Yeah.
Well, now I do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very
and I know, I won't say how I know you know, but I know you've got some experience in that. How you would know that?
Yes. Yeah. So I guess that's just how North America we kept secluded from the old world while they evolved the language.
This is why I never understand, all the anger between Canadians, Americans, and Mexicans. We should all just band together and be the NUSA, the North. Never mind, that doesn't make it. The NAUSA, the North American United States of America. Hell yeah,
NASA. Well,
NASA.
What was that called? That's NAFTA, basically.
It used to be NAFTA, now it's the USMCA.
Oh yeah,
that happened. The only reason I know that is because we had to change our shipping rules at work because it used to be under NAFTA. It was such a funny thing because that happened when Trump was in charge and he made sure to put US at the front of it. And Canada was at the tail end.
At the end.
Yeah. USMCA.
That is hilarious. That is so funny. Did the rules change that much?
No, it's just our paperwork changed. Instead of putting an X here, you have to put an X over there. It really, I mean, I have very little experience in the field of shipping internationally, but in my small corner of the international shipping market, there was a change, but it truly wasn't much other than the name.
All right, cool. Well, moving on. This is John Callahan, which we heard a little from. He did an interview about his experience in the FAA and about the Anchorage incident.
One of those, what you would call the high government official in the FAA. I was the division chief. There was only 3 or 4 down from the admiral. I became the branch chief for the quality control. The quality control branch later on became a division, and I became a division chief, and they called it the Accidents Investigations Branch in Washington, D.C. We investigated all the airline incidences, all the accidents. I stayed there for about 6 years and then retired. The way it started is there was a 747, a Japanese airline, 747 was coming from the northwest going across the Alaskan territory. And he was at either 31, 33, or 35,000 feet. And it was, I want to say around 11 o'clock at night, but you can check the real times. He called and asked the controller if the controller had any traffic at his altitude. And the controller said no. Basically, it was a midnight operation. They didn't have too much traffic. And he said, well, something like I have a target at my 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock position, about 8 miles. Now, in the 747, they have radar in the nose that picks up the weather outside there. So his radar is picking up a target. He sees this target with his eye, and the target, the way he described it, was a huge ball with lights running around it, and I think he said it was like 4 times as big as a 747. Well, on the day I'm doing PERs, I got behind, and I told the secretary not to bother me. I'm doing PERs. And a few minutes later, the phone's ringing, and then she wouldn't stop calling. So I asked what was going on. She said, you got to talk to the people in Alaska. So I said, all right. So I forgot who it was that called, but he says, we got a problem here. I don't know what to tell the media. The whole office is full of the media from Alaska. What's the problem? He says, well, it's that UFO. I said, what UFO? he says, well, we last week we had a UFO chase of 747 across the skies up here for about 30 minutes or so, and we didn't think too much of it. He says, but apparently the word got out, and we have all these news people here, and we want to know what to tell them. So being an old government employee, I told him what you always tell them, is tell them it's under investigation, and then get all that data together. I wanted all the discs that they had and all the tapes that they had available, and flown overnight to the tech center at Atlantic City. But they called the military, and they told the military they wanted all their tapes. We also control, the FAA controls all the airspace above the United States and its territory. It doesn't belong to the military, it doesn't belong to the guys shooting the rockets off. It belongs to the United States government, and it's controlled by the FAA. Nobody moves in this airspace unless we get the approval. So I told them to get the military's tapes and all their data and ship that down. Well, they called back an hour or so later, and they said the military said they were short on the tapes, and they had to put them back in service, and it's only been 12 days. So the administrator sent, my boss was the associate director, Javi Safir. Sounds like safer, but it's Safir. Sent him and me to Atlantic City to look at this thing to see if he had something to worry about. So we went in and told him that we wanted this room set up to be just like it was in Anchorage, and we wanted all that data to come to this scope, and we wanted to see everything the controller seen. We wanted to hear everything he heard, and we wanted it all tied together, the radar, the digital radar, and the sound.
Very cool that they can actually do that. And this is in the 80s. So they can pull all that together and recreate everything that the FAA controller saw, including the audio. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. Now, I like this story a lot. I mean, there's so many credible witnesses, and it wasn't so far back that they didn't have the technology to understand what was going on.
Right, and it looks like a lot of evidence too, and a lot of U.S. government agencies also coming into this. Surprised that this guy was like investigating it.
That's how you know this is the real deal, is the fact that there's a bunch of U.S. government people coming in wanting to be a part of this.
Right, exactly, and cover it up probably, or take whatever they want from it. So I think he does cover this. He's covered this before, but maybe this is the video that he was talking about that he recorded.
Found out later that some of the people that were working on that side of the fence that were displaying this had already reviewed the tapes and didn't feel comfortable in showing us what was on there. But they ran it through. When the air traffic controller had asked the military man, do you see anything? The military guy says, yes, I have a target at such and such, 1 o'clock and 8 miles from the Japanese pilot, 747. The military man said something like, yeah, I see him 35 miles north of Anchorage. And who's that at 11 or 1 o'clock in his position? And the FAA controller said, I don't have anybody. Do you have anybody? He said, it's not mine. And he came back and said, we have no traffic here. And a couple times during the operation, the Japanese pilot would say he's now at 11 o'clock, he's now at 1 o'clock, he's now at 3 o'clock. He was bouncing around, this guy here. And when he would say that, the military guy would cut in and say he's now at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and he would confirm the position. The military controller has what they call height finding radar, and they have long range radar and short range radar. So if they don't catch it on one of their systems, they catch it on the other. And if you listen to the military man, at one time he said, I have it on the height radar, or my range radar, whatever you called it, which indicated that he had a target on his system. Oz wouldn't record it. While they ran through for the best part of 31 minutes, the UFO would be in one position or the other following our Japanese 747. After a while, they changed his altitude. It still stayed with him. They gave him a 360. When you're a 747, you make a 360, it takes you a few minutes to turn around. You cover a lot of space. It still stayed with him. It was either in the front, on the side, or behind him. 10, I approve 1628 to make deviations as necessary for traffic. The traffic stayed with 1628 through turns and descents in the vicinity of Fairbanks. I requested 1628 make a right 360. They would see that the target be at 1 o'clock and 7 or 8 miles, and then next it would be on the next sweep, which would be like 10 seconds later, it would be behind him 7 or 8 miles, and it always stayed 7 or 8 miles away from the target when it was all done. And we went back to Washington the next day. The administrator had called down and wanted to know if he had a problem or not. And my boss had told him, well, we took a video of it, and it looks like there might have been something there. Well, his thing was, can you come up and give us a quick 5-minute rundown? What happened? So we go up to the 10th floor. And
we heard that.
In the conversation of a 4 or 5 minute debriefing, the administrator, which was Hingen at the time, Admiral Hingen, he said, well, have you got that video with you? Can you show me the video? And I said, yeah. And then you just plug it in and play it. I got a call from someone with the scientific study group, or this never took place. But they took only what we had there. They didn't ask me if there was anything else that I had. They said they're taking all this data. And I said, fine. Now, I had the original video that I took, and I had the pilot's report that came through, the first report, and I had the FAA's first report that was all downstairs on my table. They didn't ask for that, so I didn't give it to them. And later on, when I retired, that was the stuff that was in my office, and all that came with me, and we've been sitting on that ever since. So we watched the whole thing. Now, what happened at the end is the Japanese 747 is leaving the airspace. There's a United coming up to land in Alaska. The controller says to the United, we've got a Japanese 747 up here that is being chased, followed by a UFO. We'd like you to check them out. Can we leave you at the altitude? And the United says, fine, or sure. And so they give them a left turn, 20 degrees or so, keep them at his altitude, and they kind of run them in toward the Japanese 747. Once the two airplanes pass, that target follows the United down through the airspace until he gets on final and then disappears. When they read the reports that come through, the FAA has to protect themselves, so you can't say you saw a target, even though this is what he said. So they made him change his report to position symbols, which makes it sound like it wasn't really a target. Well, if that's not a target, then a lot of the other position symbols that we're separating from aren't targets either. And when I read that,
So wait, the United Airlines did see something. They made him change his report? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Okay, good. That changes things then. So they basically forced that guy to say that he didn't see anything when he actually did. And then it disappeared.
Right.
What a crazy incident.
Very crazy. Very cool. I just, I wish there was some, this is the problem with all UFO sightings and stories that happen is there's no conclusion.
No, there's no conclusion. It just left, and that's it.
It's just everyone saw this. It's proven that people saw this, and that's it. I mean, there's no follow up to it because how do you follow up with that?
You can't.
But it just goes to show that basically everything that Arrow has said is bullshit. There's no proven, UFO sightings and all that nonsense that they spout.
All right, so they're basically saying that was a U.S. Military incident. All right, so we actually have things that are like 4 times as big as, 4 aircraft carriers floating in space.
Now, you played BioShock Infinite, right?
Yes.
That's a city up in the sky.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have that.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, unless they're making it in the ocean or something or off planet. I mean,
what's funny now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, all of media is kind of pushing all of us this way. I mean, think of like the Avengers, they have those aircraft carriers that everyone thinks they're boats in the beginning, but then it turns out they can fly. And that's essentially what we're talking about here.
I always thought that was predictive programming too, like trying to show everyone what we really have.
Yeah.
Could flying be aircraft carriers. Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean,
I can't imagine anything more terrifying.
Well, flying aircraft carriers?
Piloted by the U.S. government? Oh my God, they're idiots.
So 17 years after being told the documents relating to this event are destroyed, I finally found them. This is John Greenwald on the Black Vault. So when he tried to FOIA all the stuff for Japanese airline flight 1628, they told him it was all destroyed from the FAA.
Yeah, weird.
They actually told him that. But he found them. Fast forward, I discovered them in record group 237, records of the Federal Aviation Administration, 1922 to 2008, holding National Archives identifier number 733667. So it's in the National Archives, and it's 1,500 pages. And I was scanning them a little bit. I did find class in there.
Great.
Wait, am I sharing this? Here we go. Is it going to keep opening? If we go to view contents. Oh, no, wait, don't do that. View contents. And so this is the data dump that from the FAA. Not that. I think this one has. What's this one? This is the actual report. All right, so it's not that one. Let's try 3. And it's crazy because it shows that they actually got embarrassed by this class guy. Downloading. Oh, good. So it's a big file.
Fantastic.
But they have his articles in there, and he was like one of the first ones to write an article about this shortly after it happened. Obviously, completely making fun of it. Here it is. Aviation Week. Philip J. Class, 1987. Here's his final report, right? FAA data. I don't want to waste our time reading this. However, there is it this one? The Public Affairs Office in the U.S. Department of Transportation. Yeah, I wonder if it's on here.
Was this the one you shared with me on X? No. The one you shared.
Oh,
no.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. No, this is still a Japanese airline.
Got it.
Is this resulting from blah statements? Oh, staff meeting marketing UFO and subsequent work. Okay, so it's not this one. There's attached for review. Premature release. Oh, as cited by Mr. Class in the attached news article, was embarrassing to me and the agency, as several hundred other news correspondents had been told that they could not review or receive the material until it was officially distributed by the Alaskan Region Flight Standards Division and the Public Affairs Office. A considerable amount of effort went into the planned release of this material, which, if leaked to the press or released to selected news sources, would create the impression that the agency is not to be trusted. So they gave Class this information before anyone else for him to come out with his. So that proof there what Class is.
Yeah.
Premature release.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. You know, he was a plant from the very beginning. It's unfortunate, really.
Yeah, it is. So that's what a lot of these are, is about just Class getting in here. Look at this. UFO expert says it was Jupiter.
So just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, you know how when you're flying a plane and a light turns into 2 lights in front of you, and then it turns into 9 lights, and then they scan you? That was just Jupiter.
It was just Jupiter.
So
yeah, it wakes up from its sleep sometimes and goes, I'm gonna go mess with humans.
Jupiter truly terrifies me. But I know it's not flying around our atmosphere causing lights.
No, it is a really scary planet. Just how huge it is, and that red storm that's been on there for what, 200 years plus?
Yeah, the red storm is the size of like 6 Earths or something. I mean, it's nuts.
God, it is nuts, and it's right here in our solar system.
Yeah, Jupiter is very scary.
Yeah, I was pretty obsessed with it too. It was before the internet. I'd get up probably every day to go to the encyclopedia to check out Jupiter.
Oh God, give yourself nightmares. Fantastic! What a great way to start the day.
It was the Voyager pictures.
Yeah.
Oof. So that is Class for you, and that was in the Anchorage Daily News. Look at them. They put it in the Anchorage Daily News to shut everyone up there. That was Jupiter.
Yep. That's the way they do business.
They should have said Saturn, since it looked like a Saturn kind of craft.
Yeah, like I could, for sure. Yeah, it's like that. It's a big. Well, I mean, it's oval shape, but it's got the ring around it. Yeah, I mean, Saturn would make a lot more sense. And yes, listener screaming at your microphone or your computer right now, we know Jupiter has a ring around it, but you can't see with the naked eye.
No, you cannot. And there have been articles lately about Saturn losing its rings. All they're saying is that we just can't see it from our perspective. That's all it is. The angle they're at.
What was the name of the probe that flew by Saturn? Like they crashed it into Saturn because
Cassini?
Yeah, man, it took some great
Yeah,
pictures.
it
Took
really
some beautiful
did.
pictures of
It
Saturn.
really did. Yeah, that was such a cool project. That was like a 10-year project. Just getting there took so long.
Oh yeah, space
So they
takes forever
they
to travel.
That's for sure. Yeah, especially with our, well, they have new. Hopefully, they'll start using these new engines. You know, that they can take from the vacuum.
Yeah,
But
we'll
we don't have
see.
to. Yeah, we'll see. So they have this cornered off about Class. According to Class, who reviewed a complete copy of the transcript, the pilot never reported seeing Jupiter or Mars, even though they were clearly visible. Oh, good. So so our federal agencies did this actually, because this is a data dump from them. So they're kind of making fun of him.
Yeah, well, I hope so. He was such a wet blanket.
Well, at least these guys, at least the Department of Transportation, because they're not CIA, so they know there's something up with this guy. Yeah, look, they're still talking about Class. This is internal memos about his article.
It's so stupid. I mean, the fact that he had so much influence over UFOs during this time period is so ridiculous. I mean, all of these are about debunking the debunk by Philip Klass, and it's so stupid that anyone would take his word as gospel. I mean, he's a known liar and sociopath that was just going for clout.
Yeah, it's like Mick West. Mick West is the new Philip. So what's this? Look, he was calling them. That's why also telephone call, Mr. Philip Klass. So they're still going into this article of his. Because they were probably upset with his conclusions.
Well, yeah, because his conclusions were bullshit.
There he is. He's writing. Oh, look at his letterhead.
Oh, so official.
All right, so he was going after this. What number was that? 3, 4, 5. Anyway, there's so many. If our listeners can go through these and maybe find a gem somewhere in there, that's what investigators do. Like, what's this one? Department of Transportation. So you have multiple departments looking at this, not just the FAA.
Awesome.
Yeah, very cool stuff. All right, I guess we can.
I mean, clearly,
this was a very cool
this was a something legitimate that happened because of how much effort the U.S. government put into figuring out what the hell was going on.
Yeah, and look at these drawings. And this is a separate department. Yeah, Department of Transportation. You wouldn't think they'd bring them in.
Whoa, that looks like something the schizophrenic would have up on his wall.
Yeah. Connecting everything.
Yeah. It's the Pepe Silvia meme. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. All right. So I guess, it's a really cool case. So much evidence, so many departments investigating what happened. And then, seeing it dumped in National Archives, and there's so much to go through, shows that they took this really seriously.
Absolutely.
It was not Mars, and it was not Jupiter, and it was not one of ours.
Just the gall behind saying that the lights you saw moving around your aircraft were planets is just. How did anyone even look at that and go, well, yep, guess they were planets? Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
You mentioned before the whole 80% thing. I think 80% of people would be like,
yeah, man.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So frustrating.
Mount motherfucking Hayes. So it's not Alaska. Mount Hayes.
Is it not? Because I was thinking, I was like,
right?
oh, hey, yeah, I thought it was Alaska.
Yeah. So this showed up on my feed. This is a CIA document that was recently in 2017. It was released.
Yeah, actually, I meant to bring this up earlier when we went, because you had said, oh, there's a lot of UFO sightings in Alaska, and yes, there is.
Yes,
but there's also even more than just UFO sightings. I mean, there's supposedly a UFO base in Alaska.
Right. So this is a CIA document. People thought this was like printed or something using a font. No, this is someone's handwriting. They just had good handwriting back then.
That's not handwriting.
It is. And Brian goes through a whole. I swear, it is. Look at the F right here.
Yeah, shoot, you might be right, because
that's just good handwriting.
I'm looking at the E's in there. The very Mountain Hayes there. Look at those two E's. They're very they're a little bit different.
Yeah,
Mountain Hayes. Yep. No.
Right.
Move your cursor just to the right where you were. Mountain Hayes there appeared. Go
Right.
left. See those two E's
But
on
see how
the
the
board?
T's are different though. Look at one is sideways, one is up.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, man. This is wild. This is wacky stuff. I've never seen handwriting look like this before.
I mean,
Anyway,
it was the 80s.
Let's
So,
propose this is real and let's continue.
Correct. Yes. You want to read Mount Hayes, or should I blow it up more?
Mount Hayes. There appear to be two types of entities associated with this site. The two entities located outside of the structure were accomplishing some sort of routine task, unable to make contact with them or gain information of any sort. Inside the structure were two entities, one sitting at some sort of circular console with a round screen-like object. The other was busy doing something in the background. The entity at the console appeared to be in human form, but lacked definitive facial features. He seemed friendly enough and invited me to observe his actions at the console. Wow.
That is so weird.
So
I think
weird.
this was from a remote viewing session, most likely.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Description of personnel associated ET bases. Maybe it's Ingo Swan. I bet you he had nice handwriting.
Yeah, it could be.
Wait, does he mention the handwriting here?
This is not a CIA document. It's a CIA reading room document. They also archive since the bottom. I mean, someone at the CIA wanted to look at it for some reason.
Well, yeah. But they've also been sued many times.
Yeah.
Why is it written in Common Sense? Microsoft says fake. Someone needs to let the CIA. Okay, he's joking.
Anyway, really cool stuff. I love reading about this kind of information. It's great. It's just great.
So here's a new pilot. This happened on September 4th, just 4 days ago.
Nice.
Airline pilot makes chilling UFO claim over upstate New York. New York. He wants to remain anonymous, though.
Good man. Smart.
Yeah. Claimed he and his pilot were flying into upstate New York in early August when they had a 10-minute interaction with an unidentified flying object described as a bright green cigar-shaped craft.
Whoa.
Always something different.
Now, what is a UFO or a UAP?
Oh,
I don't know.
Wait, what's happening here? Here we go.
We don't have to read that. I was kidding.
All right. We know what UAPs are.
The pilot who reported the odd occurrence feared being grounded by the airline. Yep, just like we talked about in the Japan sighting. He didn't speak to anyone on the ground and reported the incident to New Fork website, an agency used by pilots, military, law enforcement, and civilians to report UFO UAP sightings.
Well, at least they have somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did they see? According to the reports, incident occurred on August 1st, 4 a.m. as they were flying into a local airport. They were dropping off soldiers returning from basic training. We were over the Fort Edward area over some farmland when my co-pilot pointed toward the mountains and asked what that green thing was. I looked over and realized it was just a solid green light that appeared to hover. Wowzers. The unnamed pilot thought it was a tower or something on top of the mountain, but his co-pilot, who also witnessed it, said it started moving. The object moved closer to them. He turned his cockpit lights on and off, trying to get a reaction out of it. The green light got brighter after he flicked off on and off his lights. And then the UFO blinked out. And he said it was suspicious because planes don't just shut off their outside lights off in the middle of the night. Too true.
Right.
That's why you never hear a plane flying overhead without seeing it. They've always got their lights on.
Always, yeah.
He says that within about 30 seconds, the object went from being about a mile away to within 500 feet of their aircraft, stating, "This time I could view it from the side and realized that the light was in the shape of a cigar. I would say more like a cigarette because of the length."
So it wasn't too long.
According to the first-hand account, the object flew past their plane at a very high rate of speed, and while over the cockpit, he claims it was about 200 to 300 feet above them. Wow. It appeared to have rows of windows in the front, no wings whatsoever, and I realized that the green light was coming from these bars on the side, running the length of the object. He estimated it traveled a mile in a couple of seconds.
All right.
He claims it was about two times the size of their plane, making it about the size of a 747.
All right, not huge. Something
Still
like
cool
that.
though.
Very cool. A cigarette instead of a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, about reporting it.
Let me see. When the two pilots touched down, he claimed that a man, in quotes, wearing a nice blue suit, took them to a small room and asked them what they saw and to draw it out. Then the co-pilot filed a formal report, and he was grounded the next day. Good God, these people.
Unbelievable.
The plane's pilot said the man in the blue suit asked if he wanted to file a formal report, and he said no and left. Adding to that, my co-pilot did want to file one and ended up grounded the next day. I mean, Jesus Christ, they've done such a good job of, if I may use the phrase, alienating people who see UFOs, because this is what happens if you admit.
I thought it was against the law to do that now. I mean, they could anyway.
Dude, it's only against. Look, laws, they're obviously in place for a reason, but truly, the top echelon of our government uses laws to benefit themselves and bring everyone else down. That's it. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and we can see it happening every day. I mean, they just select who to go after and what laws to use. There's so many on the books. Is anyone could be doing something illegal. So if they want to go after you, they can.
I mean, and this is why this is why we're talking about, this is why the Constitution, the First Amendment keeps coming up, because if that kind of stuff gains traction about free speech should have limits, then Adam and I won't be able to do this podcast anymore because it's misinformation, and that they have a reason to arrest us. I mean, this is the kind of shit that we're talking about. This is what a true, patriot is against. This is why we don't. There's no such thing as free speech if you're censoring somebody's speech, and it's
speech.
It's speech. I mean, good God, there was a whole generation after generation of people who were taught sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me, and that just went out the fucking window sometime in the last 10-15 years. I don't know what the hell happened.
I mean, the best way to deal with bad speech or misinformation is more speech.
If you say
if something makes sense and
this
is convincing,
wrong, this is wrong, and this is how I can prove it's wrong, and you present your argument.
Exactly. Argue. Don't just shut down speech. That doesn't work, and that's for tyrants.
I mean, oh God, yeah, yep.
And it shows here. I mean, even this pilot. I mean, he goes. So he thought it was military training, but then look, he goes, I know there's a National Guard area close to where this took place, he wrote, while adding, I guess I could say it was extraterrestrial, but I just don't buy that. And I say that just in case somebody connected to my company or the local airport finds this report and tries to have me grounded.
Oh my God.
So there it is. He doesn't really have free speech, or the freedom to report what he thought this thing is. So it hasn't changed. It has not changed. We're just stuck in the same loop.
Every time, man. Every goddamn time. Now, this is really interesting stuff that you sent me. However, big asterisk next to it. So,
of course, yeah. It's John Keel, right?
This is John Keel. He wrote one of my favorite books of all time, The Mothman Prophecies. But as AJ over on the Wi-Fi has pointed out and made me really sad to know, he made up a lot of the he made up a lot of the Mothman Prophecies.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
So what is this? Confidential background info do not publish or discuss in lectures.
I'm still not clear about this. Was this something he wrote? Was this something he received? It just kind of seems like an outline of what the whole alien agenda is about.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what the purpose of it is. What it's for. We're missing context here. But
So
there's
like
some pretty
specialized research Inc. Here, let me look them up.
Yeah, you should. But yeah, I think it's like a 16-point outline of everything they're apparently not supposed to talk about, but it's the, capital T truth of what's going
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says the very top in capital letters, confidential background info. Do not publish or discuss in lectures, on radio, or TV. And it's coming from an address in New York City.
Yeah.
Should I start reading? I don't do we want to read this whole document? There's like
I mean, some of this stuff, like, okay, UFOs operate from terrestrial bases. I mean, we've covered that before. Is there a date on this?
That's a very good question. I'm tempted to call that phone number in the top.
212. That's Washington. Oh yeah, no, that's New York. That's New York.
It probably doesn't even exist anymore. But yeah, but there's a couple tidbits in here that are good. Yeah, that first one you were just starting to read. UFOs operate from terrestrial bases. At the present time, there is one or more bases per county in the United States. Others are being established at a rapid pace. Excuse me.
Oh, okay, so just sorry, just to interdict here, I did look it up. That paper. So researcher John Keel's privately held beliefs on the UFO phenomenon as of October 1967. This was a memo written for personal friends and colleagues, not meant for public release. Quote, once the UFO powers realize fully that we are aware of their plans, they might feel it necessary to take immediate action. We've heard this before.
That tracks. That totally tracks. So this was written in the 60s, and a lot of it is very, I mean, it's stuff we're still talking about. 80 years later? 64? That's 80, right? 24?
24.
No, that's
44.
Yeah, I'm bad at
48
math.
years later. Yeah.
60.
So look at it. Most of the UFO occupants are controlled entities. The majority are only slightly different from us in appearance, but they are marked biologically different. But there are marked biological differences. There is no way to determine the identity or location of the controller.
Yeah.
So people always say that the Greys act like they're
biological. They're biological robots. Yeah.
Right. And even some of the whatever Nordic ones are kind of the same way. All that stuff is like, oh, we've been sent here by God. I mean, so maybe either this controller is God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or two, it's some other beings that we have no idea about that have a ulterior motive.
It's some fat alien nerd in his mom's basement.
Yeah, or the creator of the simulation.
Although they utilize our technology and sciences, their own quote unquote science seems to be more psychic and physical, and in parentheses, by our understanding of the terms. Outbreaks of so-called psychic phenomena provide important clues, and the people involved should be interviewed in depth, get their entire life history and their ancestral history. That's an interesting, getting their ancestral history. What this document goes on to lay out is that they're trying to change us on a long-term basis. So the ancestry thing kind of is very interesting.
It is. And then, especially when did the Benny and Barney Hill, was that 67 or before that?
67, 68, I believe.
All right. So around this time, because they're saying they are primarily engaged in biological experiments aimed at gradually altering the physical and emotional characteristics of our future generations. B, expanding their bases of operations. C, thwarting or suppressing the activities of their enemies, other UFO groups racing to achieve the same ends.
Yeah, very common theme among UFO abductees is they say that the aliens are trying to learn emotion. They truly don't understand it. From that context, it seems like the aliens would be trying to be emotional by understanding what our emotions are, what they mean. But in this context, reading this paper, it sounds kind of like the opposite. They're trying to make us mindless robots, which, hell, let's admit it. I mean, half of us already are. I mean,
it's happening. Yeah.
You're encouraged as an adult, male, also female, but to suppress your emotions. Don't get angry. Don't get sad. Just be a rock.
Right, exactly. I mean, here it is. A very long-range plan is being followed by all groups. Major changes in the world's birth rates can already be noted. Seemingly natural catastrophes will occur on an increasing scale to further decimate the population.
Oof.
And mind control. Where's the one about their bases are made for terrestrial? Wait. Oh, that's the next one, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might be on the next page.
Which I thought was really strange. Let's zoom in.
Actually, this one, that very top one, is pretty interesting. Some of the groups involved are not cellular life forms at all, but are masses of intelligent energy, impossible to explain with our present day science.
Wow.
Controlled from a distant and reliant upon new charges of energy. Upon new charges of energy from a distant central source, many nighttime sightings of glowing objects are really visible manifestations of this energy group. Yeah, that's some wooey stuff, and I love it.
Yeah, some of the groups involved, such as the Little Men, are formerly independent beings who have been brought under control and are now being utilized in the operation.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? What do you think the cutoff for little is? I'm 5'10". I don't think I count. I'm not little.
No, you're not little. No, I think 5 and under 5 foot is little.
Hey, Mom, how's it going? Don't get controlled.
No, she's not. Oh, here it is. The bases are usually underground in thinly populated backroad areas. When visible, they appear to be abandoned farms. These bases are equipped with elaborate communication devices designed so that they can be operated by terrestrials, us. Yeah. They also contain the necessary medical equipment for the biological experiments mentioned above. Advanced telephone equipment is also installed in these bases, enabling the occupants to monitor and even control all telephone calls in their area without detection. Through some unfathomable system, they are also able to collect and examine mail sent to or from people in whom they are interested.
Oh boy. This is Men in Black stuff.
What the hell? Exactly. But imagine creating a base meant to be operated by terrestrials, but it's like empty.
But I mean, this is again talked about by many UFO researchers, where people who get abducted talk about they're being taught to operate machinery that they normally don't. So when the big quote unquote thing happens, they know how to operate it. Whatever that thing is up to interpretation. But...
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like a program.
Yeah.
Terrestrials who blunder accidentally onto these bases when they are in full operation are usually brainwashed. Yeah, I mean, this is all in some manner. But this was written in the 60s so that they retain no conscious memory of that they have seen. Those terrestrials who do not respond to this type of brainwashing are retained for experiments.
So when you, listener, are out for a hike and you're out in the middle of nowhere, you've gone off trail because you're a trailblazer. You've got your GPS system so you don't get lost. But you come across this weird chain link fence and it says "Do not enter." Just turn around and walk away. Don't be like, "Oh, this is mysterious. This looks like it's been here for 100 years."
I don't know. I don't know if our listeners would do that. I think most of our listeners go diving in, right?
I mean, I would go diving in, but I would know that, hey, my life is pretty much over after this point.
All right, yeah, you've made the conscious decision. Now, if you were alone, would you still go in?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm just too curious. Like, I have to know the truth. I have to.
Well, I hope you do find out the truth, and that you make it out is the most important thing.
That's the big one. That's what this document is saying is, if I make it out, my brain's going to be completely scrambled and I'll never know what the truth is. I'll be like, I went in the middle of the woods and I saw a secret clown college, and everyone's gonna be like, oh great, Topher lost his mind on that vacation last year.
I would have to debrief you.
Yeah, fantastic. That'll end well.
All right, Trump, is he lying or is he telling us the truth here?
He had 4 years to tell us the truth. We'll see if he follows through this time.
Right.
Hey, really quick before you play this, what's really weird that I've noticed is that Republican people running for president wear blue ties and Democratic people running for president wear red ties.
It's like the uniparty. That's why they want us to think of them as one blended unit.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is. The purple party.
Ugh.
People purple, was it purple
Purple's
people
royalty.
eaters? Purple's royalty. That's
That's what the
right.
color of purple means, is royalty.
That's right.
So
Correct.
it fits.
So Trump's hair is looking good. His ear looks fine. Nothing happened to his ear.
You can see his fun tan line.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, exactly. He didn't apply it right here
Or
here.
Yeah, or there. Or on his
Unless
around his eyes and his nose.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah.
It's such an 80s thing to like want to
It
be
really
tan.
is an 80s thing.
Is it?
Makes me nostalgic for an age I was never alive for.
Yeah, I mean the 80s was colorful and loud.
It seemed
what I'll call
super
it.
cool from all I can tell.
Yeah, it was innocent. Well, yeah, I mean 50s is innocent. I don't know what you'd call 80s. Anything that's less than 5 years ago is innocent.
Sure.
All right, so Trump is on Lex Friedman's show, which YouTube finally has stopped pushing because I actually, just down every single video.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's listen to Trump.
A lot of people are very interested in footage of UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that. But they also are pushing me on Kennedy. And I did release a lot, but I had people come to me and beg me not to do it. But I'll be doing that very early on. But I would do that.
There's
So I do believe the part about, because some stuff about Kennedy was released during his presidency. Yeah. Not much, but I definitely believe the part where when he says people came to me begging me not to release it. I think it was kind of the other way around, where they held a gun to his head and said, if you release
it's over for Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's Pompeo, and he loves that country. He was the head of the CIA. He's the one that called him and said, please do not release this. Man, if he has another role for him in his new government, I mean, that's it. I mean, if he gets in, that is, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows?
Wild times. Wild times.
It is wild times.
But hey, DOJ. Listeners, you know what? No matter who gets elected, the Uncovering Anomalies podcast will be here to broadcast pirate podcast radio to your beautiful, beautiful ears.
I was wondering if they shut down the internet. How do we get to our customers?
Ham radio
listeners. Ham radio. That'd be fun.
I would love to do a ham radio show.
That's a real pirate radio there.
Anyone can interrupt.
That's right. Unless you How do you stay on one frequency?
Don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there.
So this article was syndicated everywhere, and it's pretty negative, and I kind of understand why, because the perspective is, I think this person is Native American, first of all, and I think that's why.
You think Tony Milligan is Native American?
I mean, or he has it with him. Here, you'll see. It's something unless he's trying to speak for them.
So
which probably makes sense then.
The title, it sounds like a white liberal to me trying to speak for minorities. I mean, that's all they do. Anyway, the title of the article is "Surging Belief in Alien Visitors is Becoming a Serious Problem for Our Society."
Hear that, folks? Don't think about aliens.
Don't think about it. Whatever you do, don't think about it. Just whatever the news tells you, eat it up.
Exactly. Whatever Arrow tells you, about these conspiracies. So he just says, I think he goes to like stats about how many people believe in UFOs and aliens in the U.S. Here goes, in a paper accepted for publication, I argue that the belief in alien visitors is no longer a quirk, but a widespread societal problem. This guy's insane.
The belief is now rising to the extent that politicians, at least in the U.S., feel that they have to respond. The disclosure of information about claimed UAPs from the Pentagon has got a lot of bipartisan attention in the country. This is highlighted. Much of it plays upon familiar anti-elite tropes. Oh, Jesus Christ, here we go. Those poor elites. Don't talk about the elites.
Right.
Oh,
remember, guys, it's not a class war. It's a race war.
Much of it plays upon the familiar anti-elite tropes that both parties have been ready to use, such as the idea that the military and a secretive cabal of private commercial interests are keeping the deep truth. I can't even finish this fucking paragraph because it's already pissing me off. How many times do we have to prove that this shit is fucking real?
I know, it's insane. And this was everywhere. This article was syndicated everywhere. And Science Alert, it was on physics.org, it was on Newsweek, everywhere.
I hope you pulled this up on archive.com or something so they don't get the view count. This is unbelievably frustrating.
I mean, yeah.
A secretive military cabal, like the CIA. Oh no, they're the good guys. Like the FBI. Oh no, they're the good guys.
They're trying to frame it into a Q kind of thing, because that's what
the Mossad. Oh no, they're the good guys. Remember all those good things that all those groups have done.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
All these wars, all these forever wars. Oh yeah, he got killed on it, I think.
Yeah, good, because I want to send him a message, call him a fucking moron.
He is, and look what he does here. Problems for society. All this
encouraging conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
those have never been right before.
Which could undermine trust in democratic institutions.
This is the most. Oh my god.
Oh, he gets worse. Look at this one.
I don't even want to read this, but I'm going
to. He talks about indigenous, yeah.
The modern alien visitation narrative has not, after all, emerged out of indigenous communities. Quite the opposite. It emerged in part as a way for conspiracy-minded thinkers in Europe torn apart by racism to explain how complex urban civilization in places like South America couldn't have existed prior to European settlement. Oh my god.
So that's what the UFO industry is, guys.
This guy straight up, I'm assuming when he hit 1821, he cut off his own testicles so he could write for these papers that'll publish his bullshit.
I mean, look at this. I mean, he talks about
why are you forcing me to read this stuff, man? This is torture for me.
Because people have to know, like, there is a conscious effort to put this stuff in there, and it got everywhere. Everywhere. I'm talking about like all publications. It was all over the place. So when you have that much power behind whatever this is, a misinformation campaign, it hurts. Because now they're telling people you are a conspiracy-minded crazy person, anti-government crazy person, and you're a racist for thinking about these conspiracy theories about aliens and a secret cabal hiding.
All right, well, let me read this, and what I can only imagine is this guy's voice.
This may be why these tales in particular are heavily targeted by alien visitation enthusiasts, some of whom even claim to be Pleiadians. No surprises, Pleiadians do not look like the Lakota or Ojibwe, but are strikingly blonde, blue-eyed, and Nordic.
Yeah, white supremacists.
It's increasingly clear that belief in alien visitation is no longer just a fun speculation, but something that has real and damaging consequences. Oh!
Well, Tom Milligan, that was
Tony.
horrendous.
Click on his little profile. He's got his name highlighted. Click on. I want to see what he looks like.
Oh wait, it goes. Let's see. Oh yeah, my! Of course, he looks like this.
Yep, does not surprise me in the slightest.
Oh my god, he looks British. Oh, King's College, London. He is British.
Yeah, he has that British condescending tone.
A British liberal.
Imagine what I just read was in a British accent. I cannot do British accents, people. I apologize.
As an ethicist specializing in what is known as virtue theory, I work along two axes. The first and dominant axis concerns astrobiology and space exploration. All right, but they have to look like Native Americans, people. If they look anything like Germans, then it's racist.
Christ, what is our country? What is our world coming to?
I know, that was so. It really drove me insane of how much traction it got. That's what really got me. Just everywhere, everyone picked this up. So sad. Hopefully, people realize, that's just all. That is the misinformation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously,
he's not even Native American. I imagine I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I thought that.
He's 1/16th Cherokee or whatever dumb bullshit,
He lives
people
in
like him have been
Scotland.
saying for years.
Oh, here's
He's
his ex.
1/16th Scottish,
Bulldog. No.
Scottish bulldog. No, Scottish flathead or whatever Native American tribe, whatever Native European tribes were there.
Interview with Newsweek. Look at this guy. Alien warning, dangerous political tsunami. So he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, let's not give this guy any more thoughts. Otherwise, I'm gonna blow my brains out.
All right, go. At least everyone's spamming him. Interesting scientific integrity. All right,
Jesus
good.
Christ! Imagine like your belief in UFOs made you a racist, like this guy's positing. What a bunch of horse shit.
Everything's racist, and they used to say that as a joke. It's all racist.
You capitalize the letters at the beginning of your sentences. Racist.
Michael Schratt was on Dolan. I think we have to go through this quickly because we're already an hour and 40 minutes. Michael Schratt takes these UFO events and he animates them. So remember that one event, Danny Sheehan, he saw the Blue Book files, right? And he sketched it. So that's what he did here. And he worked
putting this into a database and trying to decipher.
He worked on it with Danny.
And Danny Sheehan, if I remember correctly, he's got a great head of head of hair.
Yes, those locks, those white locks. So
that's crazy in and of itself. Finding a UFO like sideways jutted in the side of a dune or a mountain or whatever the hell it is.
I know.
45-degree angle. Drop it down about 15 degrees so that we're at 30. And this is, Richard, the final result that we came up with. And when we showed this to Danny, he said, that's about as close as you're going to get until you actually see the real photograph.
First of all, it's beautifully rendered. And wow, I'm just so impressed.
So something out here, Richard, there is a photograph of this, multiple photographs. So somehow we all need to run this to ground and find out where this happened, when this happened, who was involved, and what happened to the craft.
I want to see that photo.
Does Dolan do a show every week or every day?
It's random. I think he does a 2-hour one. He used to do one every week, but he does one at least once a month.
I mean, the guy he picks great interviewees.
Yeah, he does.
And great topics to discuss.
So much fun, his show. Before he had a YouTube channel, he used to go to these conferences and his presentations used to be leaked all the time. They're so good, like great research. There was one he did about the secret space program, one about the security being 6 times as expensive as the project itself. So the security surrounding it, keeping it secret, is 6 times more expensive than the project. So that's unsustainable. Crazy. Yeah, and here's this other case. It was an offshore drilling place.
Website. So I thought, okay, everything from this report, see if we can get a drawing of what this actually looks like. And this is what Rudy came up with. Something like this.
Yeah, huge.
Happened in 1997 timeframe.
Well, it was military helicopters too. So either they knew this was going to come up or it's one of ours.
And so we try to incorporate all of the elements here. We've got the helicopters. So there would have been UH-1, CH-47 Chinook helicopters. Something like this happened off of Corpus Christi, Texas. So we want to use this as a template, go to the full color rendering, and this is our full color rendering, Richard.
Yeah, that's actually wonderful. I love this. This is not a case that I knew about or have included in my own study of USOs. I've got about 630 cases at this point, but I don't have this one. I've got a bunch from the Gulf of Mexico, which is a major hotspot of USOs. There's no question in my mind. And in fact, Corpus Christi, South Padre Island, that whole region, I've collected a few cases from that area, exactly where you're discussing, but not this one. I don't know the UFOD site, so that one kind of slipped by me. I'm going to have to go check that out, and I'm going to want to get all the details of this. But this is quite interesting, very interesting. And there's a bunch of cases of oil rigs or at least several cases of oil rigs, offshore rigs in the Gulf of Mexico where craft have come out in the vicinity of them. This is not the only one. But
And, we're talking twice the size of a football field here. So
yeah,
these
very
are large craft for sure. Okay. I want to talk about another case.
There is a show on Amazon. It's called, I've talked about it on the show before. I brought it up in one of Topher's media corners.
Yeah.
It's called The Rig, and it's about something supernatural that happens on an oil rig. It's one of the TV shows I enjoyed a lot. Like something I'm really looking forward to season 2, but I highly recommend it.
The Rig.
It's just called The Rig. It's on Amazon. It's just about oil riggers who rig in oil.
There must be something to that then if they have a whole show about it, right?
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. But man, so good.
They're out in the middle of the ocean or water a lot of times. It's loud and it's drilling into the earth and sucking things out. So,
Yeah, so it's not about UFOs, but it is about that whole
I mean, you're doing something at a macro scale. Something's going to notice.
It's unnatural if you want to take like the hippie point of view about
the
earth and what we're doing to the earth.
Actually, it might be my only bad trip, but or one of them. But one of the first times I did mushrooms, I was in my dorms, right? And I was all happy and stuff, and it was all cool. This was in Montana, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And then I look out the window of my dorm, and I see. Do you know those drills that while they're drilling? It looks like a bird, drinking
like it's got
water.
It's got like the swing where it's going like
Yes, it's going in. Once I saw that, I got this feeling of disgust. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but it put me into a bad trip, and I had to calm myself down and try to get out of it, and I couldn't get that feeling out. So there's something wrong with doing that, I guess. If that was my feeling, because I never thought that way at all about drilling. To be honest,
yeah,
I didn't care. So yeah, there's something to that, but unnatural. That when you said that, it made sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, climate change. That's a whole subject for not our show because we're too stupid to truly know everything about that subject.
Yeah,
but I can't remember where I was going with this. What I'm just trying to say is we're doing terrible things to our planet, but that doesn't mean we all have to live in mud huts and knock down all of our buildings and civilization as we know it.
And that's what attracts us to the UFO, topic in general. Also, is because we don't have to sit there and drill and hurt.
Right. We have free energy right in front of us,
Exactly.
and we're just not allowed to access it.
Right, because we have to pay tribute to a parasitic class.
That's such a great way to put it.
It is, isn't it? Tribute. I mean,
it's totally
we're forced into it. Thank you for living.
Yeah, here. Take a little bit. Let me take a little bit of your blood so you can drive your car this week.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's gonna.
That's exactly what it is.
If CBDCs happen too, it's gonna be like that, right?
Jesus Christ.
Stay in compliance, and you can use your money to buy fuel to go this far.
Hopefully you got your 16th booster.
And that, yeah. Oh, you haven't got your booster? Oops, your money's expired. I guess you're homeless.
You made a bunch of money on a stock that Wall Street wasn't prepared for. Well, you can't use any of that money now.
Right, you're not part of the right. You're not on this list right here.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Look at. Remember when the GameStop thing was happening? Like Robinhood and all these other, trading companies. They shut down. You weren't allowed to buy or sell anything because Wall Street wasn't in charge of that. I mean, it's such a horseshit society that we live in. That
so
was
rigged.
Allowed to have. It's so rigged.
Completely rigged. It's sad. Yeah, and infuriating.
Well, Wall Street didn't get to me. I made a cool $20 off of the GameStop.
Hey, that's good. At least you didn't lose money.
Honestly, when it was happening for the very first time, I downloaded Robinhood and was like, hell yeah, I'm going to get in on this. And for the next week, I was constantly watching it. And I was like, you know what? I can't, because my whole work day was me just on my phone looking at
just
stock.
Refreshing it. I remember that.
I was like, okay, I can't do this.
You were sending messages. You're like, diamond gloves.
Yeah, I sold it. I sold my, whatever it was, and I was just like, no, I'm out. Like I can't unless this is a full-time job. I cannot do this.
Yeah, it makes sense. You can't just sit there and watch it all the time. Yeah, those are crazy days. All right, so I wanted to show you this one. This guy worked he was a security officer or something at the Lockheed base, and he was on a cigarette break. I think Michael will.
How many times have we talked about UFO sightings happening on cigarette breaks?
Yes, that's why they want cigarettes illegal. I bet you anything.
I don't think that's why. Cigarettes are really. This is coming from someone who used to smoke. I didn't smoke that much, like a pack a week.
Oh, I smoked in Vegas. Just because I can.
Like I think the last time I had a cigarette, I don't know, must have been shit. I don't even know, a couple years ago. But
Yeah.
I used to smoke like a pack. I'd say about a week, so I wasn't a heavy.
No,
I don't
that's
know.
not. Yeah, that's not.
No, it
big.
really wasn't. It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But don't smoke cigarettes, people. They're super bad for you.
Oh yeah, they're terrible. Yeah, let's not get into like.
I don't think they're trying to ban cigarettes because of people seeing UFOs.
I know. I thought it was funny though.
It is funny.
Yeah. So let's see if Shrek goes into it more. Here he's showing us the boom lift outside one of the hangars.
A cigarette break.
And
he said that there was a series of boom lifts that came out of this hangar. Hangar doors open up. These boom lifts all roll out. There were about 12 of them, all in a 360-degree circle. And then a man walked out. He shined a flashlight with a green beam. He shined it 3 times. And these boom lifts extended their booms out so that they were completely extended. And they had draped, Richard, a tarp connecting the tops of each lift, which created this perimeter screen.
What?
And then this gentleman said that a black contact lens, about 100 feet in diameter, dropped down into the center of all these boom lifts, and then the whole group, Richard, trundled back into the hangar. This is according to what this gentleman told Mark McCandlish.
So they created their own makeshift
Yes.
curtain.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly
and a kind of disc or lozenge shaped or something.
Yes.
Did you say it was black?
It was black. It looked like a black contact lens.
And it just did it come down silently? I assume
it came down silently into the center of all of these boom lifts where there's this perimeter screen, and then the whole thing trundled back into the hangar. So instead of me just talking about this, let's go to the drawing. And this is the best that I could come up with. This took place in 1992.
Wow.
So what this is telling us here is that they do have the technology. They have made the breakthrough.
This is
what if they're helping aliens? Like
this is the highest of strangeness. I mean, can you imagine being some poor security guard? You're making like probably minimum wage, 1992, and you see a bunch of boom cranes come out, throw up a tarp, and then a black disc falls out of the sky and lands it, and then they just it all shuffles into the hangar. I mean, that's terrifying to me.
Yeah,
it's such a. This is why I love high strangeness stuff. It's because it's so weird.
It's so weird.
What possible explanation could there be for this if we're not talking about UFOs and things like that? There's no explanation.
Like, what's the project? What is it? What is it doing? Like,
yeah.
Like
it's just I love high strangeness that cannot be explained. It's so utterly bizarre and
fabrication
weird.
for this guy. Yeah, exactly.
It makes no sense.
Do you think it was like theater?
I don't
so the
know.
guy can spread that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're hiding anything. It's dropping into it.
Right. It makes and there's all these other questions I have in my head, like who is driving the boom things, you know, and then. But it kind of makes it seem like there was no one. They just had because he was shining. He said the guy came out with a green flashlight and was just flashing the
sky.
The sky. I mean, none of it makes any sense. It's so creepy, and I love it. I mean, people get scared about seeing an alien or Bigfoot or Sasquatch. This kind of stuff scares me because there's just like an alien. You're like, okay, you're an alien from outer space, whatever. You're a Sasquatch. You're living in the woods. I can explain that rationally in my head. This makes no goddamn sense whatsoever, and I love it. I love stories like this. I truly do.
What's his name? Is that Richard Hall, the guy with the big white, the big tall whites? Not Richard Hall, something Hall.
No, it is Hall.
Yeah. Yeah, so he said like we helped them out, like creating like seats for them or stuff like that. Could that be this? I mean, because Michael here is saying, "Oh, see, we've had this technology forever." I mean, this could be just them saying, "All right, we need some help with some parts," or I don't know. I'm just trying to think why.
That's so wacky.
What is more?
October 1954 probably was the date for the breakthrough on gravity research. Probably sometime prior to that. Now, 2 weeks later, the consistency and the continuing going out with this guy paid off because he took another cigarette break 2 weeks later, and the entire process, Richard, was reversed. So this whole group trundled out. The boom lift came up. They formed a perimeter screen. A black contact lens levitated out at about 100 feet above the hangar, and then this thing took off like a spark on a grinding wheel, and this is all back in 1992. Richard, they've got the breakthrough. They've got the technology.
Over 30 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
That's crazy.
Yep.
You know, Ben.
Well, yeah, he's going to say Ben Rich said that we have technologies that Star Trek and Star Wars would be jealous of. Right? Not Star Trek and Star Wars. That George Lucas would be jealous of.
It's just, I think, I would hope if it's our U.S. government doing this kind of stuff, they'd be a little bit more careful. I mean, like you said, unless the point is to be seen.
Theater. Yeah. Especially the same guy, and 2 weeks later, like you don't think like, all right, that guy probably saw what happened. You know, anyway. I don't want to get too into it, but apparently the guy told Mark McCandlish this before he passed away. So, do we have a secret space program?
I'm inclined to. Well, shoot. See, I'm torn.
Yeah.
Because
did we make the breakthrough?
I don't know. Because what's the thing with Boeing right now? We've got all those astronauts trapped out in space, and they had to use SpaceX to get up there.
It's so weird. Like, I mean, are they willing to kill astronauts over the secret?
Right. Like we have a secret space program, but we can't bring astronauts back from the ISS.
I mean, have a secret mission to do it. You know, bring him back, debrief him. Can't say a word. Oh, look, they're back safely.
But here's the thing. If they had never mentioned that they had astronauts stuck out in space and Boeing's machine screwed up, I would have never known. The general public would have never known, but they made that public. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what have they only whatever they've done is stealth, more potent weapons, surveillance technology, you know, AI.
I think most of the like secret space program has to do with spying on other countries. Like our satellites are a lot more sophisticated.
That's true. Yeah. So
and of course we've got things like Starlink too. I mean that's
white world stuff. But yeah,
I mean that's what the general public knows.
Yeah.
So whatever the actual government has up there is far more advanced.
Like what the NRO has, the SIBR system, right, which is those geosynchronous satellites that constantly scan Earth with infrared and work with other satellites, low Earth satellites, so they can see what's happening on the Earth in real time all the time.
I mean, hopefully everyone remembers last time Trump was in office, he tweeted that picture from Iran where they were building chemical weapons, and he had a satellite photo of the thing, and it was like clear as day, even though this photo came from like 4 miles up.
They killed him for doing that.
Yeah.
Hilarious. All right, so senior officials told me, this is Dr. Eric Davis, senior officials told me continuously and confidentially that big aerospace companies have been part of the legacy program to retrieve and reverse engineer crash extraterrestrial materials. The big names included Lockheed Martin, TRW, McDonnell Douglas, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Raytheon, BAE Systems, and the Aerospace Corporation, all of which have long been principal members of the U.S. military-industrial complex. Could it be disinformation to scare Russia and China, or is it the truth?
I don't know. I'm done guessing.
I mean, Eric Davis is the guy. We're not going to listen to this. We're at 2 hours now, but this is a cool recreation of the Wilson memo. The acting sometimes is a little cringe, but it's still good. It's really well put together, and This guy is Davis, and then this guy here is this guy is Willis. This guy's Davis. Wilson, Wilson and Davis.
Oh, cool.
So
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, check it out. This was cited. Haven't we seen this somewhere? Yeah,
I hadn't seen this.
Is this one of ours? You think?
I mean, this is the Phoenix Lights and the upstate New York sighting.
Yeah,
this is the exact same craft, whatever it is.
Phoenix Lights. That's what it reminded me of. Okay,
where was this?
This is. He doesn't even say it. Is that why everyone's mad?
Yeah, I think everyone's saying I need more information because it looks suspiciously like all the drawings seen after the Phoenix Lights.
This was in Canada.
Found it on a Telegram channel. Interesting.
The reply hidden by the author.
Oh man. Yeah, I this looks too good to be true. This looks too good to be true, in my opinion. I mean, we've seen what AI can do nowadays.
Right.
So true. It literally looks exactly like
those drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when the close up, it looks fake.
And I just, just based on what the public knows about U.S. military aircraft, all of ours, it's a full triangle with the back filled in there, and this is a true boomerang, which I don't know if we have. Well, shit, I don't know. I mean, the stealth bombers kind of look like that.
Just especially the newer one.
Not as pronounced wings swept backwards like that. Now, I saw this on Reddit, but you had sent this to me after that.
What do you think about Jonathan Reed in general?
So I've been trying to look more and more. You cannot Google Jonathan Reed
no.
find anything worthwhile. You have to use alternate search engines.
Right. I did find his video, the long
one. Remember this video from a long time ago, and actually I think we covered this early on. That thing's clearly blinking.
Yeah, is it really blinking? I mean, he did an interview with Fade to Black, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. He's a really nice guy, like really nice. Like
he was also part of this was that he saw that triangular craft out in the woods, and he's got pictures.
Well, that's what this is. Yeah, right. Because what happened?
That's what I'm saying is that he had that, and then he supposedly scooped up these bodies from that craft.
So apparently, the story is that the guy, he's just a retired doctor. He retired to the woods in Washington. He worked in the community. He was always donating his time. He had a dog that he loved. She was a golden retriever.
Yeah.
He wanted to go out. I know, I love golden retrievers. He just took her out for a walk where she usually likes to go, and he let her go, just to go explore or whatever. And then he heard her barking normally. He goes, "Oh, she probably found something." But then her barking turned into like a help kind of bark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he went running after her, and he went through the woods, and I don't know what. And then he found this being holding her because I guess she was trying to attack him or something, holding her by the head, and then it gets really graphic. He says that her head gets crushed or something, and something happens where she turns into herself and she turns into nothing, something like that, where it triggered him and he went nuts, and he grabbed a stick from the ground, and he whacked this being in the back of the head, and the branch got stuck in the head, and it just went down. It was bleeding in the back of the head. That's his story, and he was going crazy. He was panicking, and I don't know what. And then he saw the craft. So he went, he had a camera with him. He went, took pictures of the craft, I don't know what, trying to calm himself down. And then he took this being home. And that's what this video is.
Very spooky. I mean,
extremely.
Whether or not this is real or fake, I mean, there's something about the footage he took that is really compelling and hard to fake as far as I can tell.
I know, right? So, and of course the cameras back then were really bad. So this is stabilized.
Yeah.
So he has it. He brought it back in this thing. And, if you listen to him, he's it's really hard to act the way he's acting unless you're crazy. And I listened to his interview with Jimmy Church, and the guy's not crazy. You know, you can tell when someone has issues, I think. But just, could you imagine going through with this? Look at
I mean,
it.
this is my dream. Kind of. I'd be scared out of my mind. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, he killed it.
Hell
But
yeah,
it
America.
did kill his dog. America.
And he didn't even do it with a gun.
Nope. Look, so if it was blinking, that means it's alive. I mean, he's holding it.
Well, that's the thing about aliens, man. What is alive and what's dead to a being that's from another dimension or whatever?
I mean, could this have been like animatronic?
Yeah, but he opens the eyes and all this other stuff. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the aliens from Fire in the Sky.
Yeah, it does look similar to it. The neck part, especially.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's barely.
I mean,
any
if something's
nose.
going to look alien, yeah.
I mean,
mouth,
it looks
no
humanoid
ears.
enough.
I guess for its purpose. And there's the blood.
Yeah.
But why is the blood coming out now?
I don't think it's coming out now. I think it's just
it was there.
Yeah.
And the head looks so weirdly proportioned.
But of course, it has the black turtleneck on, as all aliens are known
Yeah.
to do for some reason.
Yep. And the tight 3 fingers. Is that what you're showing?
Yeah, I think so.
There's strange eyes. I mean, its head doesn't look too big though. It's not like it's a.
But
gray.
it's big in proportion to his body.
Yeah. How terrifying! You want to hear him?
Yeah.
All right, now. What a story!
So my only thing is, if you those pictures at the end, they're great. When we talk about the grays, everyone who has quote unquote seen them, they always talk about how big their eyes are. But in this one, obviously their eyes aren't so big.
Not too big, no. Slanted.
Yeah.
Oh, so here's the craft.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't think he came in this though, because it's tiny. But it's probably scouting for him.
It's still such a weird thing. Yeah, we've definitely brought this up on the show before.
Okay.
Such a very strange encounter if this is, in fact real. From what I can tell, at least in this story, nothing seems to be debunked. I know he went on to say some questionable things later on, but
did he?
Yeah.
I mean, even this, like, how is he going to make that? And there's Susie. That's one lost her life.
She looks sweet.
And there's him. He looks the same now. He's like in his 80s or something.
Yeah. There he is right there. Yeah. He's
Very
got a
strange story.
Yeah, very strange story.
All right. So what do we have next? Oh, UFO abducting a cow.
I've gone back and forth on this. I kind of wish I hadn't sent it to you because I don't think it's real.
Let's take out the audio.
We can give it a shot though. The video's in Spanish.
Oh, so that doesn't help. All right, so where's the actual? Is this in the 90s? This thing?
Yeah.
Oh. So she's the one that took the video or the picture? Looks like
Yeah.
Picture.
Or it was her cow that got abducted. I don't know which. Also in this thread, there's a couple other people who had posted videos of cows getting abducted. If they're real or not, I'll leave that up to you and the other people watching the show. Scroll down. Okay, this is a story of what we just watched. This case reported on September 5th, 2009 in Argentina. The witness says the following. We were with the kids looking towards the side of the island, taking pictures, and something white caught our attention and seemed strange to us. And focusing with the camera, we saw that it was a cow. It was a cow flying, and when we zoomed in, we could see that it see what would be a flying saucer.
Oh no!
What did it look like? I don't know how to explain it to you. It wasn't a helicopter, it wasn't a plane. You couldn't hear it. You couldn't distinguish it that well. It looked dark. It was hovering in the air. The cow was clearly visible because it looked like it was being carried away. It was in the air and then it disappeared. Both two things disappeared. the two things, the cow and the UFO, disappears in a matter of 10 minutes because in 10 minutes everything happened. A significant height from the ground, the reporter asks, and she said, yes, that is why it caught our attention. Something white flying. Moreover, looking to that, that's a Google Translate thing. No one would say moreover. Looking to that side of the island, we saw that there were cows and horses. That's all there was over there. Wow. So yes, if you scroll down, if you can find the post, hopefully it's still there. Someone has 2 videos on their comment that shows other cow abductions, and I'm not certain about. There we go. There's. Let's watch those real quick.
Oh, I've seen this one.
This one, like I said, I'm not so sure about.
What you are about to see is a video from 1983 that happened to catch an unforgettable, shocking event.
There it goes. It was like an invisible craft.
It wasn't invisible. You could see it.
Let's take another look.
Right. It was like white, right? Like whitish.
Yeah. Yeah. See, all this like extra production stuff makes me think it's not real. Thanks, Red Arrow. Very helpful. There it goes.
Yeah. Loading up to the sky.
The other one's a little bit more believable, but I'm still not sure I believe it.
Horrifying footage of the exact moment a cow being sucked into a UFO. More horrifying, the next morning, that cow was discovered back in its pasture, lifeless and bloodless.
So this one supposedly happened in Japan. The next one I also think was in South America. No, I think this is Russia. I can't remember. Uruguay.
Oh, of course, I got a ton of cows there. Oh my God! Right behind him. What? Did you see that? That was crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I said, this one's a little bit more believable. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it's real or not, but still super scary if it's true. Hoping it shows it again.
San Carlos, Uruguay. Oh, it's just another one.
Sweet Google Earth view.
Oh, so yeah.
Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. Zoom.
What'd that guy say? The cameraman. Oh,
I don't
so
know. It's not in English.
Oh no, they're looking up now.
Yeah, I know. They saw it, but I mean, this could just be acting with CGI in the background. Who knows?
Do.
Whee!
It looks like a sheep actually.
Anyway, lots of fun. I know cows being abducted is like the most stereotypical UFO thing that has ever existed. But still, we got some fun videos out of it.
Yeah. This is really cool. So, have you heard this before? The Tesla Spirit Radio?
I have. This is the basis of, if I remember correctly, like when people use white noise to listen to ghosts.
Yes, exactly. But he has a patent for his radio. So Brian Rommel here on Twitter is saying, we're going to listen to it now, but he's saying, dude, he goes, I urge limited listening if you are handy enough to decide to build such a device. He goes, no, I'm not joking. So that's why he has AI listening to it. Tesla said he listened to his radio his entire life. I personally do not suggest this. This is why I've let the AI listen in. I'm certain some of what is heard may contribute to a decline in some ways with people. This is why I hesitate releasing the schematics based on the actual patents. I advise to extend great caution in listening to more than a few seconds. So here's a few seconds of it. You want to listen?
Yeah, of course.
It's really freaky. Oh my god.
Very freaky.
Isn't that nuts? That's what Tesla heard in 1901. The guy said he was talking to Martians anyway.
Tesla was a brilliant man.
So
He was
cool.
probably half crazy, but I love him.
Yeah, me too. So Edison too was doing that, was listening to radio.
Yeah, but fuck Edison.
Speed
He
radio.
stole all of Tesla's stuff and he worked every day of his life to discredit Tesla, which was BS.
It was probably what he was doing anyway, stealing
Yeah.
his stuff.
Oh,
Did you
good.
see
No,
this?
this is great. I need another phobia in my life.
Mushroom learns to crawl after being given robot body.
Good. We definitely should be giving mushrooms robot parts for sure.
Do you know they found microtubules in mushrooms?
Oh, good. Yeah,
Those are
sweet.
Well, those are found in our brains, in our brain cells. Actually, that's how our brain cells.
Good.
Yeah.
So mushrooms are compatible with our brains. That's why people take them and hallucinate.
Yes, does that make sense now? So now they're using that, and they want to integrate these into other. What is it? Combining.
Yeah,
by
smart.
growing.
It's not like our culture has been revolving around zombies and zombie movies for the last 100 years.
That's what these are going to be. By
Yeah, of
growing
course.
mycelium into the electronics of a robot, we were able to allow the biohybrid machine to sense and respond to the environment. The potential of future robots could be to sense soil chemistry and row crops. I mean, also mushrooms make a underground. They make up like this communications grid where trees
Oh,
can
yeah.
communicate with each other. Yeah,
Yeah, no, mushrooms
So-
are crazy.
it is crazy. Is there a video about this? Where is this? I guess not, unless I've blocked it. Robot, hybrid robot. Where is a video? A study. That's too bad. I want to see it. I want to see it crawl. Don't you want to see it crawl?
No.
You don't? That's why it's not happening.
They already
Right.
gave it too many legs.
I think this is not. Why? How many legs? Let's see. Is it more than 6?
There's a picture of it down there.
1, 2, 3, 4. You said 4.
I think there's a fifth one hiding behind it over there.
Maybe. Anyway, I thought that was cool.
It's cool, but yeah, I don't like the future that we're starting to grow into here.
Speaking of the future we're trying to go into, this is
Ugh.
old, but you sent this over.
I sure did. So this is a professor from does it say in the, it's got to say in the article there. Can you scroll down? Warwick in England.
Whoa, these English libs are way worse than ours.
So
Come
this is
on,
an
guys.
article. This is an article from 2015, kind of a precursor to all the kind of nonsense we're seeing now. But this
Yeah.
professor stated, if you read to your kids, you're unfairly disadvantaging others. So don't read to your kids, keep them stupid. Whatever you do, don't teach them anything. Just let them play on the iPad 24/7.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you try to make sure your child has a good future? You know, you are unfairly disadvantaging other people's children.
Right. Don't do what's best for your kids. Do what's best for everybody's kids.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, now I have to ask, did your mom or dad read to you as a kid?
Not as often as I read to my kid, but yes, they did. But it was few and far between, I would say.
I'm assuming my mom will listen to this and she'll text me. I'm assuming one of my parents read to me. I have no recollection of it, but my mom was really good about buying me books. It was always,
yeah, and you were always reading too.
yeah.
I remember.
I was just talking this about this with you and another family member the other day, or maybe it was just her. It doesn't matter. You know, I remember when like the Harry Potter books were coming out, you know, my mom would take me to the bookstore and we'd be like one of the first in line to get the new Harry Potter book so I could read it. And I'd spend the whole day reading.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, so like reading was a big part in our family, but I don't have any recollection of my parents reading to me, but I'm assuming they did.
I have some recollection. Yeah.
I'm well read.
Oh, yeah. Very well read. Yeah. I mean, the family's pretty educated, I would say.
I'm also well blue and well green.
Boom.
Right.
Do we have those buttons on here? No, we don't.
No. Once we get enough listeners and we can upgrade our recording
yeah
our recording studio
yeah, because those are always fun.
Yeah, great time.
I don't think parents reading their children bedtime stories should constantly have in their minds the way that they are unfairly disadvantaging other people's children, but I think they should have that thought occasionally.
I mean, this is just, it's more of the, hey, the government will take care of anything your kid needs. Don't worry about it, which is such a bullshit, mindset to have.
Yeah.
But I truly think most parents realize that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this comes from a childless person.
Of course it does. Should we click on them?
Yeah, please.
Catherine Timp.
Catherine
Timp.
She looks like a childish. She wants to speak to your manager.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute, that's not her. Oh no.
It is. Look at the next article down. She left.
But
saying goodbye. She left.
Oh, nothing. Never mind. She looks like that one Fox News.
Yeah.
I was like, it can't be her.
It does.
It does, right? But it's not her because she's
no,
not.
It's not her.
Saying goodbye. Thank you, National Review.
All right, we can move on.
All right.
This isn't worth our time.
So DOJ is going after right-wing pundits that are allegedly funded by Russia.
Here we go. The news is putting they're putting the screws on Russia again, because what other playbook, what other thing do they have in their playbook?
We have an election and
what is the Russian propaganda that is being pushed? That the economy is not good, that groceries are affordable,
right?
That everything is good in the United States. If you believe that you can't afford groceries this month, guess what? That's Russian propaganda.
It's all Russian propaganda. If
anyone are too high, Russian propaganda.
It's all Russian propaganda if it goes against the Biden administration.
If the big toe on your left foot is bigger than the big toe on your right foot, guess what? Russian propaganda.
Oh, but they don't care about all the Israeli money that goes into pundits, like the Daily Wire and all
right.
That.
Yeah. It's very interesting because we covered that in our last episode about how much money from Israel is in American politics, and that's a-okay. But the second another country does it, stop the presses. We got to start suing people.
Yeah, we know how hypocritical they are.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't look into stuff like this, but the timing is weird. And these people never blatantly said anything with Russia. I think there was anti-Ukraine. Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's Rubin. It's pretty big guys. Tim Pool is one of them. Dave Rubin. Wait, do they have the names here? Let's see if I go Rubin. No,
yeah, I mean, but there were several people, several big time names that were being sued, and of course they're doing their whole spin on it, saying we didn't know it was Russian propaganda. But I'm still curious to know what damage truly has been done to the American.
I think these people are greedy. Yeah, nothing. No, of course, no damage. But these people are greedy. If you're getting paid $100,000 per episode, wouldn't you wonder where this is coming from?
You would hope so, right?
You know what I mean? Like Tim Pool's like, that's not. People might think that's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That can pay all my bills for like 3 years.
It's a lot of money, no matter if you've seen that or not, because you know how much it costs you to do an episode. It's like $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, how much money are you getting paid for this episode, cuz?
Oh, I think it's in the minus.
Yeah. No, hey, whoa, me too.
But man, you can't put a price on truth,
You can't.
You really
but
can't.
That being said, if someone were to approach us with a check for 6 figures for both of us, I think both of us would be like, why and where did
why
come from?
First of all, and where's that money coming from? Yeah,
because we will not be bought
unless we know where it's coming from.
So personally, I'm hoping the Democratic presidential campaign fund hits us up and says, we'll give you.
I'm kind of really insulted that no one reached out for any agenda. You know, at least let us like explore them, check them out. But yeah, none of them.
Tell you what, Kamala, if you want us to promote your presidency on this podcast, you need to offer me a position in the cabinet. Only then will I spout your praises.
I would have to see the classified UFO files.
Well, yeah, obviously I'm going to be the senior cabinet member of UFO stuff. I'm pretty sure that's the official title.
Yeah, should like that name. Unburdened.
By what has been.
By what has been. All right, so our interest on the debt now eclipses $3 billion a day. Isn't that nice? Look at that.
Chump change. We don't need it.
This is 2020, and it has just climbed to the moon.
It's too bad we can't use this debt to go to the moon again.
I know. Like, where the hell is it going? All right, so we could end. We have the comedy thing you sent me, and we have Megalopolis.
We actually already played a trailer for Megalopolis.
So we can just go to the comedy, the town hall.
Yeah, it's political season. We're talking politics right now. I think this is a good way to wrap it up.
And this is hilarious. These two are hilarious. What are they called? What's their name?
Key and Peele.
Who's Key? Is this Key?
I believe so. Jordan Peele is the director, and he's the second.
Oh, he's the black guy. Okay, yeah.
They're both black guys.
It's so funny, man.
Folks, I have a simple philosophy that government should work for everyone, not just the elite. And that's why I helped pass the Farm Bill, because I care about farmers. But I won't stop there. I will work for everyone. Whether you are young, whether you are old, whether you are Asian or Hispanic, whether you are straight or whether you are gay. I will work for all of you. And that's why I also support marriage equality. Folks don't choose to be gay any more than I choose to be straight. Could you imagine if someone told you that you couldn't marry the person that you loved? I'm sorry, I think gays are people too. Gays are not different. Gays, they are just like us. They love, they fear, they raise their children, they strive for a better life. But there are those who believe that being gay is an abomination. That's absurd. The homosexual community is a valuable community in this country. They are doctors, they are lawyers, they are teachers, they are me, and they are you. And their contributions are no less important than any other group in this fine nation of ours. So, turn to that gay person near you and see that they are no different than you are. Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hopefully people are actually watching that and not just listening to us laughing about this guy talking about gay people, because that's not what the video was about.
No,
the whole point of is this guy is talking about everybody, and every time he talks about a certain person or gender, the camera goes to one person in the audience. Every time he talks about gay people, it goes to this one guy who's trying to avoid the camera. It's great.
So funny. And he's such a good actor. Like, he can act with his, like, I don't know, like his facial expressions are just amazing.
Yeah, you know, he directed that oh god, the UFO movie.
Nope, that's him, right? Nope.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
So talented, man.
Very
Just
talented.
Old? 5 years ago. Okay, not that old.
Yeah.
Wow.
God, time flies, huh?
Yeah, it really does. I guess Nope is like 2 years old or 3 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, because we talked about it on the show. How long? I can't remember. We've talked about it before, but I honestly don't remember off the top of my head how long we've been doing the show. But I remember we talked about it on the show as it was coming out, and I had seen it and you hadn't yet.
Right. and I didn't want to for some reason. You're like, no, watch it, and I watched it, and I absolutely loved it.
Oh, so good. So good. You know what else is good? Episode 88 of the Uncovering
Anomalies
podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You know what?
What happened there? We lost.
Go ahead. Grab a family member. Grab a friend. Drive to your friend's house. Scream at them in their face. Hey, listen to this show. And then you grab their phone. Take it from them forcibly if you have to. Subscribe to us on Spotify or YouTube even. And listen to our show, man. Please.
Any video platform you want, any podcasting platform you want, we are on it. So share us on your social media with your friends. We don't. It's not too spicy, our material.
No,
but I guess because not everyone wants to share their interest in UFOs. Maybe
that's very true. I mean, I can't say the stuff we talk about on here. I can't say at work, otherwise I'll be labeled a crazy person.
Everything.
So I understand it in that sense. Just be like, hey, I heard this podcast. I think you might like it, and drop it like that. You don't have to like be super obvious about it. But if you want to, go ahead.
Well, the deep dives are doing good for us as well. We're getting new listeners and viewers. It also stays out longer, right? Because people are always searching for those topics. So it's good that we're doing this and getting new subscribers. So I can just get right into it. You guys can follow us on X and interact with us there at UAP the podcast. I'm at Breakaway Civil, and Topher is at Topher et al. On X, that's all we're on. And for podcasts, we're everywhere: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or YouTube Music now is a podcasting platform. Cast, and I don't know what, but all the major ones. We're on all the major video platforms like YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. We have a support link under all episodes, so why don't you click on it and give us some support?
That's right, everybody, and thank you for listening to episode 88 of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast, coming to you live from 1955. That is, I have a need to know Adam, and I am the Topher 3, the Topherist, and we thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you all next week.